The second time I went to Kosovo, I was on a recon team, surveillance team. Then we were actively hunting people.
Let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
what went on there?
The one guy, now, would I call this guy a huge terrorist? Because he seemed like a terrorist until I went to Iraq and all this other stuff, and all of a sudden you're like, nope, that's what a terrorist looks like.
Diet terrorist.
Yeah,
if you
this
will.
over here is this is the Goodwill clothing store terrorist over here. He'd fired RPGs at Camp Bondstill, which is in Kosovo, which is American base. So we were actively hunting these guys down. We knew kind of who they were, blah, blah, blah. So we started hunting them down, started pulling surveillance on them. And we ended up deciding to do this pretty cool takedown in a restaurant. So we had two guys that they'd somehow got to know him. They played like they were somebody else. They spoke the languages and stuff. And they said, meet us at this restaurant. And they'd met him there like 4 or 5 different occasions. Gave him some money, this and that and there, until the guy that we wanted showed up. And he had a serious injury to his big toe. That's all I know, and I'll tell you why it's funny in a minute. So he has them meet him at the restaurant. As he did that, we're in there already. So here's crew over here, crew over here, crew over here. When it's time, like our guy goes, when you've got him and I've got him where you need to be, I'm gonna lay my hat on the table and you guys do what you do. Well, the bad guy's talking to him. He's like, well, don't do me wrong, man. I'm armed, and I'll freaking do you right here. And all of a sudden, my boy's like, okay, and he hands him like, here's your free camera. And hands him this pretty fancy camera and all this other stuff. And he gives him some batteries and stuff, so he has to screw with it. And he's looking down like this. And my boy sets his hat down. We all jump out. It's a race to see who can get there first. Jump out.
What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show.
Gavri по-русски?
Wait, you speak Russian?
Yeah.
Are you Russian?
Russian and Ukrainian.
No shit. What a combo these days. That's spicy.
Which side are you on?
Depends on what year it is.
All right, well we're rolling, right, Alessi?
Yeah, we're rolling.
We're good to go. All right, we got a full house today. I'm really excited for this one. This has been something that the man in the second seat today, Ryan, has talked about us doing for the last couple of years. But we have Mr. Danny Hall here today, longtime Special Forces Commando, continued Special Forces Commando in a way for the work you do for your company. So thank you for coming up here from Texas.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about your life and everything you've done. We also have someone guest in the studio. My man Aaron from in town goes to Stevens here. Figured he could pull up for an episode, so thanks for coming, brother. Hope you enjoy this one. I think you picked a good one. That'll be good. But yeah, we got Ryan over here from VetPaw, episode 117, if people haven't seen that, but organization that's near and dear to my heart that I know Danny will talk about today as well. You do some work for them, but Ryan, can you just tell people what you do?
Sure. So VetPaw is Veterans Empowered to Protect African Wildlife. We are a registered nonprofit organization that employs and also deploys U.S. and international combat veterans to Africa to train, advise, and assist in counter-poaching and wildlife protection efforts. But on the grander scheme, conservation efforts, it's just a new purpose for veterans. So
And you guys do an amazing job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love supporting on here. We'll have the links down in the description. And you and I are going to do a separate podcast tomorrow. So that'll come out after this one where we'll talk more about all the updates on the ground and things that are going on over there. Because that whole poaching international syndicate, the ins and outs of that as far as like ties to foreign money, terror groups, this is stuff I knew nothing about before I met you, and most people, when I tell them about it, they're like blown away. So it's important we continue to educate people.
Well, brother, thank you for using your platform to put a spotlight on it, man.
And when you touched on that, speaking of which, he recruited me to come help him do some stuff like we're talking about. But when he told me the depth of the involvement with all this stuff, the things that are going on, you think one thing's happening, and when we got into it, man, I was like, wow. I mean, I never ever conceived it had that big of an influence on the entire planet. So he's doing great things.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's been cool to see you guys grow too. So we got to keep that going. But Danny, man of the hour right here. So you and I had a very entertaining phone call.
Yeah.
The first time we talked on the phone, and now for a couple hours today before we got started, I was getting a lot of stories outside, and I'm like, save it for the podcast. But what first got you into being in the military? Was it something you dreamed of as a kid, or was it more like I'm 18, I need something to do?
No, I come from a family of veterans. The entire Hall side of the family, with a whole large amount of my mom's side of the family too, but the Hall side, my dad's side, every single person that's a male, as far as we can trace back, with several females, has been in the military.
Wow.
And most of them are highly decorated combat veterans. And if you're in my family and you don't serve, you don't really fill the shoes that you've been given. And then once you do serve, if you don't really serve well, then you really don't do a very good job either. Like I came home and leave one time, and I had my Class A's hanging up next to the table. We're getting ready to do Thanksgiving because my grandmother loves to take me to church with my Class A's on. My dad looked up and he's like, "Where's your Ranger tab at?" And I was like, "I don't have one. Take that shit down." When you get one, you can hang it right back up there.
That's good insight.
So anyway, I played war games, and my dad taught me to shoot, and we're country people, so we're always doing something. And I knew I was going in the military instantaneously. I mean, there's no question. I went in 2 weeks after I graduated high school.
Whoa! Now, when you went to join, were you just joining the Army in general, or did you want to immediately go for something more towards Special Forces?
Immediately signed up for unassigned Ranger. So unless I did something severely wrong or incorrect, like failed airborne school or something like that, or failed RIP, used to be the Ranger Indoctrination Program, I was going to go to a Ranger battalion somewhere. I just didn't know where. And so I ended up going in, doing it, infantry, airborne school, and they picked me up from airborne school. The crappy thing about that was my dad came to my graduation to airborne school and knew the senior TAC officer at NCO for RIP. And RIP is where they just torture you. And I come out of there. I wasn't wearing a beret because I'm not crazy. I've kept my regular hat on. And I walk out, my dad's sitting on the front of the car talking to this guy who turns out to be the man named Mooney. And I come walking out, and my dad goes, "Yeah, I was just telling Mooney how you said this RIP thing seems kind of gay." And I was like, why would you say that? I mean, we're using the exact words now. He said it. And I was like, I never, and Mooney just goes, "Shut up. Go back over. I'll get to you shortly." And I was like, "Oh my God, it's going to be such a bus ride." And it turned out to be a bus ride and a half too. So, 3 weeks later, I was finally reporting to 1st Ranger Battalion.
Once you kind of proved your mettle in the Army, though, was your dad proud to see you follow in the footsteps?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big sense of pride.
He came to my graduation from AIT for the infantry school. He came to, he was going to go to one of my award ceremonies that we're having. There's a better one than some. And he got a bad foot infection, which turned out to be something very serious, and ended up having to get his leg amputated.
Ooh.
So from stepping on a thumbtack, but he didn't get to go to the event, and nobody knew there was going to be something like that. And it turned out to be a whole lot more things than that, and cancer and all kinds of stuff, And
Yikes.
so we went from planning on attending a graduation ceremony or award ceremony, to that. So it's tragic, but yeah, he was proud of me. So it was
That's
good.
good.
It was nice.
I love hearing the stories where it's like the military is something that's really within the family, because there's just an extra understanding of that at that point. And obviously, like, each generation is on them to kind of follow in the legacy and follow the footsteps, which you certainly did. But as you said, you started off, you wanted to go immediately for like Ranger school. So one of the things I'm always interested in different parts of the military, whether you look on the Marine side or the Army side and all the different subcategories in there, is the training they put people through, because it varies for each of them. And when we had Dale Comstock in here a few months ago, or whatever that was,
we drove into an area that's about 7 kilometers that the Taliban owned. It was their territory. You can't make a left or right turn. You got to go north or south down this road. And we had to stop. We heard the Taliban on the radio. They had set up ambushes on both ends of our small convoy, and they were getting ready to hit us. And then I realized, oh shit, the only way we're getting out of this is we got to run the gauntlet now. And I remember when we turned around that night, my Afghan interpreter was with me. Dude, as soon as I started driving, I said, shoot anything where a bad guy can hide behind it. I said, don't relent till we get out of this thing. So as I'm sitting there, I'm watching the vehicles go one by one. The firefight starts. I got time to watch the show and think about it before it's time for me to start driving my vehicle, right?
He was walking us through, Alessi, was that was Delta training, right? Delta training. Yeah. He was going through like the Delta thing. And I never realized how much you're like on your own doing that versus, what you see more in the movies with like the Navy SEALs, where they're all together doing it, obviously doing very hard shit. But like when you were doing the Ranger training, is it similar to Delta in that way? Like you're kind of going out in the terrain on your own, or are you working in teams?
Well, the thing is, a lot of the things with Delta, which I'm not going to get into their stuff, that's separate from Rangers and stuff like that, would be they do a lot more individually graded type of events, going through training, versus Rangers don't do it quite as much because it's more squad, rifle team oriented, more or less. But you still have a certain amount of events and things that you need to do on your own, like all your qualification tests for Ranger Indoctrination Program. You know, that's all you. You felt it, it's you. Tough. That part is, but like Ranger School, the rest of it's entirely team oriented, that part.
Okay.
But you still have to be graded on your own to prove that you should even be in that environment, to even start to be tested.
Guys, if you're still watching this video and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please take 2 seconds and go hit it right now. Thank you. Well, when you look within the Special Forces and you talk about like the Rangers, Delta, Green Berets, what is it, like what's the Rangers calling card as opposed to like the others?
Well, Rangers, big time direct action and airfield seizure. So it's no winning hearts and, well, at least it didn't used to be, no winning hearts and minds. There's an objective. It needs to be gotten to and taken. If it's a bad guy in a house, we're going to the house. We're taking that house. And we're going to get whoever's in it. We're going to take all the information we get from that. We're going to go to the next house and get that guy. And we're just going to keep on doing it. Same with airfield seizure, parachute in, drive in, whatever we choose to do. By dawn, we'll own that airfield, and then we'll start flying our own airplanes in there, and we'll have control of it and grab all the bad guys as needed, and then we'll operate out of that airbase if we choose to.
Got it. So like when people talk about Navy SEALs and they talk about like amphibious missions where they got to go in the water and stuff like that, we still see other missions though that you may hear about, like SEAL Team 6 or something doing something like the Bin Laden mission where there's no water involved in something like that.
Yeah.
So my thought amateurly had always been like, okay, well, if there's water involved or something like that, they're doing Navy SEALs. If there's not, they're probably doing like Delta or Rangers. But how do they make that decision when they may say like, oh, Navy SEALs get this one versus you guys?
Well, so that's a tricky part right there. For a high-end target like that guy, it's going to be one of the big boys out of that, regardless. It's going to be SEAL Team 6 or whatever you want to call them, Delta, whatever you want to call those guys. It's going to be one of those guys 99% of the time, but it's going to have attachments from Special Forces, Rangers, all that. So
what do you mean attachments?
They're going to have they're going to run the show, the Delta or SEAL Team 6. They're going to run the show, and they're going to put the entire project together. But one thing about Delta for sure is they love Rangers because Rangers do what they do pretty much. I mean, they're kicking down doors, breaking stuff. That's what they like the best, and they're trained to do it. So they'll have them in there as the bigger chunk. The specialty guys will be the guys right dead center of it, and the Rangers will be the parts on the outside, like the guards and all this other stuff, most likely. I mean, just generally saying. Special Forces has like 7 different missions. So not every single guy is real awesome at direct action. Everybody's good at all of it, but not everybody. Most teams are specialized in something really good. Like when I left 10th Special Forces, our team was direct action and Halo. So we concentrated on high altitude, low opening, high altitude, high opening, or direct action, kicking down doors. And then on the side of that, we trained foreign forces, which is another one of our missions, counterinsurgency, all this other stuff. So we trained Iraqis and we take them into battle with us. See what I mean? So it's kind of a culmination of those things versus these guys that are already trained. Delta and Rangers, they're not training anybody. They're going to do the mission and they're coming back. That's their entire purpose.
Got it. So how long was the training when you went in when you were 18 to initially become a Ranger?
Well, it was basic and AIT, which is like 12 weeks, I believe. And airborne schools, 3 more weeks. And then RIPS, 3 more weeks. So then you report to the unit. And then you have to do, well, at least I had to do it at the unit. You do your Ranger qualification test, which was over a week, so you can wear a beret. Back then they were black. Now they're tan. Then it's just ongoing. Then from then on, they send you to schools. Like I went to a Marine Corps sniper course. I think I was first. I think I'm one of the first honor grads. I think you told me first honor grad to be from Marine Corps sniper course.
Yeah. Dreaming. Lynn would love that.
Not even on the team. Classic.
But they send you stuff like I did go to Marine Corps sniper course and went to the Department of Army sniper course. And that kind of got me because I always shot long guns my whole life.
I was going to say, had you done, you had experience with that.
But I didn't know how to do extreme ranges, So they thought, well, if you've already had this much experience with this, maybe you'd be good at sniper stuff. So they threw me into one, a lot less than Marine Corps sniper or DA sniper or any of those. They sent me to a basic sniper course, and I did pretty good at it because I was young and listened, Yeah. And then it just grew from there, and then eventually I just went to every one I could go to, and it became my thing, really. I still do teach it and use it here and there. Maybe for vet Paul sometime soon. I don't know. Who knows?
What makes the best snipers? What sets them apart?
Patience and severe concentration. Being able to take whatever environment you're in. You may have to sit there for 5 or 6 days. You might not even shoot anything. You might just sit there and report, because a big part of being a sniper is reporting. You might not shoot anybody.
What do you mean reporting?
Like, I have to tell you, like, say for instance, there's a force coming behind you waiting to hit this big building. And so we go in like 4 or 5 different sniper teams. We'll go and surround this place from way off. We'll watch it, decide who's coming and going, record all that, take aerial maps, do all this kind of stuff. And we're shooting it back to the attack force that's back here, assault force, which we may end up being a part of, but we're not yet, depending on how big this force is. And then they put together all their information. Sometimes they're in an aircraft flying to the objective if we're overseas, and they're receiving all this stuff on the aircraft, and they're making their plan. They hit the ground. We make a place for them to get there, guide them in, because we know the terrain, and we set them up. And then when they get ready to take it down, we make sure the outside of the building is safe about the millisecond that they're going in the building. And if need be, we'll go in the building with them immediately after that part takes
So you're
place.
planted way ahead of time on things like this.
It's down to, that's dude. I mean, it's tiny. The planning on it. I mean, it's milliseconds timing, and it's just it's a big plan. It's good.
But then when shit hits the fan and they come in and suddenly you're in the mission at drop of a fucking second, you got to be ready to take someone out.
Right this second, transition from that sniper rifle to an M4 carbine or whatever you're carrying, and you may have to jump in stack with them. So you have to know the same tactics and SOPs as they know, or you look like a moron.
Oh my god. So like we were talking though off camera about how, because like you still compete in some different sniper events and stuff today, but how much calculation goes into taking a shot, because we think about these long range bullets, they come out so fucking fast or whatever, and it's like, okay, 1,000 feet away, how far could wind really move a bullet? But you were saying it can move it 96 inches on a 10-mile-an-hour wind if you're like 1,000 feet, something like that.
30-06 bullet, to best my recollection, 10-mile-an-hour full value crosswind. In other words, at 1,000 yards can drift a bullet 96, 97 inches.
That's insane.
So if you're shooting at a human, you could literally miss that human and shoot a kid standing over here accidentally in a village. And now, guess what?
That's a war. It's a war starter.
Hey,
You're talking about trouble.
They're mathematicians. I mean, when you really think about it, you're dialing. I mean, you also have to think about the Earth moving and the curvature of the Earth. And I mean, it's crazy what snipers, the knowledge they carry, and I mean, you really are. You become I mean, what's the movie with Matt Damon?
With Mark Wahlberg,
Oh,
you
Mark
mean?
Wahlberg. Sniper?
You're thinking
It's
Goodwill
like
Hunting?
Goodwill Hunting. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, just think of Danny Hall, just a little rougher around the edges.
Well, it becomes, the longer it gets, it becomes a big time trigonometry problem. Like I said, I was telling you, when I do some shooting competitions, at least back in the day, you weren't allowed to have a calculator, and you couldn't have a laser rangefinder, you couldn't have any of that crap. You had to learn how to use your mil dots and your scopes and the reticles that are inside of them. And you just turn a corner and there's something sitting out there, and it's like, and it might be a valley just out in the middle of nowhere, and there's a target. And you got 2 minutes, see that, figure out how far away it is, figure out how fast the winds are going, put the calculations on either on your scope or do a hold. However you choose to do it. I'm more of a hold person. I just kind of figured out on mills and had to shoot it that way. And then it's faster versus turning all those dials. And once I turn the dials, I don't have my zero anymore, so I like to leave it on whatever I got it set on. But it becomes big time math, and that's why if you don't do it all the time, like if somebody gave me a mile and a half shot to calculate, oh my God, with winds blowing
crazy.
3 different directions, and you got to figure it up on 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, or 3 total, and all this. Oh my God.
What was it, Alessi? Can we look this up? The longest shot Nick Irving took. Didn't he take a famously long shot?
That was Chris Kyle.
No, it was.
It was Chris Kyle.
No, it was the Canadian sniper.
Yeah, Canadian. Well, last was Canadian.
Yeah.
How long was that shot?
Oh, it's over a mile.
Yeah, it's well over a mile. The one before that, he was the Marine, and he shot through the concrete wall.
Yeah. Now, see, I think the Marine one was more, and I don't quote me for sure, but I think the Canadian, the longest shot wasn't a 1-round hit. I don't think he hit on first
What do you mean?
round.
Oh,
Like he shot and adjusted
Yeah.
his shot.
He missed.
Yeah.
He shot and adjusted. I think it took like maybe 2 or 3 shots if I recall.
I mean, at that point,
so
it
does
become,
that count? Like when they're
Still
judging
happening.
this?
It's still happening.
Oh no, he's talking about actually making a kill.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, person.
it doesn't.
Yeah. I know. But like if they're judging like the record, like if you miss, I mean, I don't know how it works.
Yeah, but either way, the bullet flew from this guy to that guy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, does that become a little bit more of aim and pray?
Yeah. It's because, believe it or not, when things are happening really fast, especially when you have a semi-automatic rifle like a SR-25, 308, things are really kicking quick.
Sweet gun.
You need to pay attention where your bullets are hitting because you might have multiple targets.
Right.
So when you have multiple targets, you pick out the one that is the most viable and the most urgent, possibly. You shoot low. From let's say he's 400, and you thought you had 200-meter dope on, but you only have 100-meter dope on, so now you're not getting it. So you shoot, you go boom, okay, correction, ting, half mil, ching, and from then on you keep a half mil on it, and then you'll never miss again. Because now I know that's going to drop that much. So it's a mental calculation you just do real quick.
So basically, what you're telling me is Lee Harvey Oswald, no fucking way, fired 3 shots.
No.
him from that far away.
And sadly, those shots can be done, but not with the gun he had
No.
and the condition it was in, and his skill set.
And the speed.
No,
Like at that speed. What was it? Like 3 seconds or 4 seconds, something like that?
You can't even ratchet that gun quick enough. Well, the one he has is raggedy too,
Yeah.
because they had it on there and they're showing him how it was working and all this other stuff. But if you take that same rifle and tune it and smooth it out and do all this stuff and then put a really, really awesome rifle guy on there that knows how to use that rifle, it can be done.
When you're taking a shot like that, like some sort of long range shot, whatever it is, with a sniper rifle, how important is breath work with it?
Very important. Long range. Everybody's got their own. I'm a blowout person. Some people hold their breath.
What do you mean?
Like when I get ready to take the shot, it's just like a, ugh. But I'll do it a couple times. If I have the time, I'll let out, let my body settle and see where it's at, and I'll make an adjustment. Because when I settle, I want to just fall onto it. Like no muscle being used anywhere. And I just like that, and I want it to be where I want it to be, right there. And I don't breathe, and I send it. Whereas some people, and then they'll hold it and shoot, which is fine. But for me, if I hold my breath, I get too much of my heart in my ear. I can hear
I
it.
start shaking.
Yeah, I start to get. If I hold it too long, I start getting muzzle lift and stuff. When I let it out, I just fold into it, just like let it just collapse. You just collapse on it. If you have that kind of time,
It's artistic in a lot of
oh,
ways.
yeah.
It is.
and it's patience. I mean, just ridiculous because you want to shoot to get it done because it might be something that needs to happen right this second. And say, for instance, you're looking across a field and there's a convoy up here and there's a bunch of guys out here and somebody comes running up there and starts shooting at them, and you need to start dropping bodies to get them off of those guys. You can't just start firing.
Right.
You need to take a split second, get your crap together, because that one round matters, you know.
How do you keep in the heat of like a battle situation where you're in a faraway spot sniping? How do you keep your cool when you do you divorce yourself from what you know is happening down there?
I think it's you know that you're going to have the most effect on it, and I don't think that happens overnight. I think that's one of those things that goes back to training probably too. Experience is number one of being put in that same situation. Like everybody says, you know, a file folder. I've done it before, so it's not new. And but training does it, just running you through those type of scenarios nonstop. Because if you try to do something you've never done before, it's 10 times more hard. So if you're doing sniper shots and you go to the range and you're putting together all these different mathematical shots, then when you finally do see one, you have a logbook and you go back through them, you know, and you keep building them. It's muscle memory kind of a thing, you know. You just plug it in really quick. So that kind of situation, you've been put through the scenario enough times that you know, because you're important at that point. People are getting shot, you know.
Oh yeah. What was the wildest sniper situation you ended up experiencing on the battlefield in your career?
Our commander went to talk to a bunch of people next door to us in Iraq. And he was going to go talk to them because they put some stuff up, looked like Communist Party type of stuff on the side of their building. And he went over to talk to them. And we had an assault force outside the gate. It's a metal gate, compound kind of a place. And I went on top of the building on the next door to it and had like a little wall. And I stood there with my foot on top of the wall. And a guy was leaning up against a blue car, which now I didn't think it was going to kick off. I thought we were just going to have a conversation. So I literally took the time, me and my guy standing here, and I took a photo of that dude with my crosshairs on his middle of his head. through my scope, just kind of messing around. Because, I mean, this is hours long. Well, that's it now. That's in 10th Group headquarters on the big poster from the initial invasion. It's actually on there, that photo. Never knew that was going to happen. And so I'm sitting there watching that, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this cat just reaches back, grabs an AK, and turns around and just starts splaying. And hits my commander, and I think he hit him in the calf or something, I forget. And then here we go. It's time to do what you do. And everybody started slinging lead. And
How many people were there?
On their side, there was probably like 10 or 15.
And then how many people like in the general vicinity though?
Oh, there's 10 or 15 down there, and there's me and another guy here, and there's another guy and another guy across the alley this way.
Okay, so
And
he's
they're
not
trying to get
talking.
to this
He's not
building.
talking to like a huge crowd.
No, it's all inside of walls too, and everybody there is together.
And how far away were you from the shot?
Shoot, 50 meters or less. It's close.
So it's close range.
Yeah,
You're not measuring as much wind on that.
no wind on that one. No,
Yeah,
that's almost 1911 distance right there. You know what I mean?
1911.
Pistol. You can almost do that with a pistol. But yeah, so that happened really quick, and I was just over there kind of goofing around, so I kind of dropped the ball. Luckily, I was back on the gun before all that started. I was just sitting there taking a picture, and we're just kind of laughing about it. And I was like, nobody's armed or anything, you know. So well, this ain't going to kick off.
Yeah.
Then also I
many
got back
guys-
on the gun. I was like, well, let me take this more seriously. And also here comes an AK out of the back of the seat. I'm like, holy crap.
You said there were 10 to 15 on their side,
Yeah, probably.
so you had to take them all out.
A bunch of them made it to the building too. So there's a bunch of them laying out there. Not all of them dead, because when it happens really quick, you don't always get a confirmed kill or a kill with one bullet right off the bat. But they're not running anymore, and they're not shooting. So the real big deal is to stop them from doing things, and then if you care, you'll go back and evaluate that situation.
It's
Further.
crazy how you can have like a totally innocent situation like that. Like, just another day at the office, and then boom.
But you know what? It only takes one time for you to make you straighten your crap up.
Oh yeah.
Because after it was over, I was looking at my boy, man. I was like, man, that was stupid of us taking that photo. Then, of course, when they found out I had the photo, they wanted it.
Yeah. But you had said a while ago, like you were doing a lot of this growing up, and then you were the first guy to, win an award in the Marine Sniper School.
I won honor grad from Marine Corps Urban Sniper course in Okinawa, and I also set a record on their course called Chaos.
Wait a second. I don't know anything about this. You went to Okinawa to a course they have just to do sniping?
I was stationed in Okinawa, and we were pretty good friends with the special ops guys over there, the Force Recon guys, and we took a few of them with us to teach a sniper course, and we'd help them with stuff, and we went back and forth, and then two or three of us really wanted to attend that course because it's urban, it's all civilian clothes, it's all it's all semi-automatic rifles and stuff. Really good, very well run course. I mean, Marines run a good course. Period. Very disciplined, and they let three of us attend it. And so I walked over to do it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, heck yeah, we'll do this thing." I would have just showed up, just done my part, and passed. But the two guys I knew started talking smack.
Oh, can't let that happen.
And he's like, "My Marine's gonna burn you down now," and I was like, "They might." I mean, those young E5 Marines, snipers are damn good. And then something came about to the point where if you are honor grad or top shooter, we will bring you some beer to your unit, just like Thai schoolgirls. I was like, well, that must happen. That must happen. He goes, but if you don't, guess who's bringing beer to the Camp Hansen? I was like, dang, okay. So we went and did it, and I ended up being honor grad by 0.3% of a point or something like that. This other guy I knew, I was like, he can shoot. And I barely won it.
How'd they grade it like that?
It's by, every single target, because it's 3 weeks long. So every single target is graded. So it's all breaks down into percentages at some point. And somehow or another I got it. And they're reading off the roster at the very end of the course. My commander and everybody's standing in the back, because they go to our graduations for things we do. And they're going through it, and they run through the whole freaking thing and never said my name of graduations, handing out hog's tooth and stuff. And I was like, well, dang, I guess they're not going to say my name. Or alphabetically, I'm out. And I was like, I feel quite sure I passed. And all of a sudden, he's like, okay, and honor grad. Staff Sergeant Hall. He just kind of tosses his paper down like that. I was like, son of a bitch. Of course, I got up and just ranted. And I said, "Oh wait, top shooter, who got that? My boy over here get it." He goes, "No, you got top shooter too."
Oh, yeah.
Snap! Here we go.
Who's got the beers and the tie ladies?
And they brought it, boy. And I videotaped every square second of it. It was awesome. But
You
it was
videotaped every square second.
every
of that?
square second, every square second. Is
You still watch that sometimes?
sometimes it kind of it's kind of good.
Motivates you a
It's
little
Does
bit.
all the time.
makes me pull out my outfit sometimes. But you know what? They did set me up for failure because we went to a Marine Corps gathering bar, like it was their bar down by their base and all this other stuff. And they invited me to come over there during some training we were doing, and they had me get up on the stage and say, forgot his name, the big, oh crud, I'm gonna make an ass out of myself.
Chesty puller.
Chesty Fuller. And he said, get up there and say he's a f-. And I was like, God almighty. seems like
That's death wish.
I was like, seems like a good way to die. And I said, what do I get? And they're like, I don't know, we'll work something out. And I was like, fine. And I got up there, looked around, make sure I could get away. And I was like,
Oh my God.
this was like, man, all I heard was tables and chairs. Man, these dudes are coming for my butt. And all of a sudden, these two E7 Marine step out behind me, behind this curtain behind me. They step out. All right, we're good, boys.
We got it.
We're just scared. I was like, and turns out it was all set up. Anyway,
they had
they
a
just
joke
wanted to see if I'd do it. It would have killed me. I mean,
Yeah, you're in enemy territory in a way. Then.
I'd have got shot. They wouldn't even have charged me.
Yeah. What year was that?
That was like 2000-ish. Probably
Okay, so
2000.
this is way later.
Yeah, way
after.
back.
Okay, so you've done a lot of years. We skipped a lot of years there after your initial sniper training.
I got a lot of years. Yeah.
Okay.
Since '84. So
Yeah, so you get out of sniper training though. You're now at this point, if I understood it correctly, you're a ranger. You have a specialty in being a sniper, but then you were saying they train you in like a rotation in a lot of other things too. So what did that comprise of?
well, they teach you a bit more advanced tactical maneuvers. You know, like they teach you basic stuff in infantry, AIT and all that stuff. But then when you're with your unit, you learn their SOPs. You know, their way they operate. Then you're going to learn how to do a shoot house more efficiently. How to patrol the way they patrol, do river crossings, survival type of things. At some point, you're going to have to attend SEAR School, survival, escape, resist, evade. Not fun. Not fun.
What do you do there?
You run through the woods. They capture you. You become a prisoner for a few days. They just beat the crap out of you and interrogate you.
Nice.
And
And they go hard, right?
Oh, they go hard. Yeah. And then you got to escape, and they catch you again and do more of it.
Wait,
and
it's
then,
planned that they catch you,
Oh, yeah,
or
you're
like
gonna
you have
get-
to try to?
Oh, you try. You ain't getting away though. It's the way it's figured out. You ain't getting away.
They have like a Truman Show set up, like a closed course.
You
There's more games than Milton Bradley, man.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is.
They got it mastered. And there's some really funny stories comes out of that stuff at some point because everybody just gets wacky, lack of sleep, lack of food, you know, and just you start acting crazy. And I ended up almost tearing a chair apart because I was taped to it, butt ass naked, and I was sitting in this wooden chair and I had my feet taped to. I had jungle boots on though, and my feet are taped, and my head's taped back. And I'm like going along. I'm like, okay, I'm not tired enough now where I don't know it's real. I mean, I know it's not. I know I'm at a school still. I'm all right, but I'm tired. Not
Is there a safe word?
No safe. And you know what else? You can't quit. It's one of the few schools.
Oh,
you
you can't.
You can't quit. You got to gut it out.
You're just going.
So I'm in here, and here comes this Air Force. I think she's Air Force, or maybe she's a military Army pilot or something. Anyway, a little blonde-haired girl, like 5'2". She comes walking in, and they all have this fake Russian accent. They talk to you the whole time. It's pretty good. When you go to the backside later on, you watch it happen from this side. It's crazy.
I'm gonna have Aaron give you a fake Russian accent and get you a little PTSD in here.
That'd work. And so they had her coming in and blah blah blah. She asked me a bunch of questions, and I didn't answer quick enough. And she reached up and kicked me right in the friggin' ribs.
Ooh.
It made me mad, boy. I don't know what did it. I don't know if it's the fact it was her doing it, not this big bearded, crazy-looking Russian dude. But she hit me off guard, and I was talking to him. Made me so mad, man. I just started taking that chair apart. I started rocking that thing back and forth, started ripping stuff off, and I was like, and they just grabbed her and tossed her out the door, like, okay.
All right.
Then, of course, the other two big Russian guys came in there and beat me up. Put an end to that.
Oh, so they finished the job.
Oh, they went ahead and beat me up, put me back in another chair.
That's crazy. So they really go all the way.
Yeah, you're going to do what they say do.
How long does that last?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. It's a long 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's a long. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. Some of it you can't even. Some of it's so freaking classified. You can't even talk about it because they don't want to run it for the next guy. But it's like, wow, you will cry at some points in there. Just surely, not because you're a pansy, just because it is like emotional, boy.
Oh,
Just some things just go on to happen. It's just wow. It's over the top, but it's a super useful school. If you ever were captured, you'd be able to use it. I guarantee you.
How many? So in the Rangers, obviously they were doing that. Did they do this across like all the high level groups across the military? They all have to do SEAR.
Yeah, I had to go to SEAR Special Forces too.
Did you do SEAR, Ryan?
I did, yes.
Oh, you did.
I did the first level. So
What does that mean?
How many levels?
ABC.
Yeah, there's 3 levels. Pilots have to go.
So you
through
did the
big
refreshments at the end level?
I didn't do that shit. No. But they do know everything about you. Good luck hiding it.
Oh, you ain't hiding nothing, dude.
No.
Did you
Stuff
do
that you didn't
polygraphs
even-
during that?
I didn't. No.
What's that?
Did you do any polygraphs during that too, or
No.
they put you through any simulations with that?
No. The only time I had something where they're really trying to put the heat on me was I was grading another team in Korea when we're already Special Forces guys and stationed in Okinawa, and I went along as a guy that grades them on their mission. They're doing all this, looking at stuff and some other stuff. Anyway, I'm just with them, and we're watching them, and it turns out that team is the one that was chosen. We're out there freezing our butt off for like a few weeks on the DMZ, and it turns out that that team was chosen to do SEAR afterwards. And they put them all in the vehicle, and it's only like a 2-day thing, total. But you're all, you're locked up the entire time in boxes. And they're putting them on the truck and this, that, and the other, pulling them off the back of the deuce snap, and they're zip tying them, putting hoods on their heads and all that stuff. And he said, okay, which one of you is the who? And I said, I'm him. And they're like, okay, you just stand right there. And my sergeant major and me were buddies, hunting buddies and stuff. And he's like, I mean, if he's going to grade them, might as well just grade them all the way in, shouldn't he? And I'm looking at him like, you can, what? And the guy's like, put a hood on him, let's get this going. And so I ended up getting stuffed in there with their asses. I was like, this is bull crap right here. But they had me strapped down. And this tells you that the first SEAR schools worked good. And these guys were former Air Force SEAR instructors that their entire job is in the Air Force is SEAR. Yeah. And older guys, like my age now probably. And they had me sitting in this chair, and I wasn't tied up. I had my pretty uniform already prettied up, all my patches on it, which you don't ever want, but they're on there anyway. And he's videotaped me, and I could tell that thing's coming on when the red light comes on.
Oh yeah.
He goes, so have you been treated fairly? Oh yeah. You've been doing this, that, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he goes, okay, we're going to record you to say all those same things again. Okay. And I'm just sitting there like this, like, sit proper. And he's like, okay, you ready? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm just going to ask you a question. Okay. That red light goes, I just crossed my eyes. And I just played like I fainted and fell out of the chair. And they're like, okay, stop. And they went back, turned it. They tried it like 3 or 4 times. And I knocked the water all over his papers on the desk over here.
Good.
Finally just gave up on it. He turned me upside down, threw me head first into that box.
Did you ever actually get captured in any point of your career? So you never actually had to do it out in the field like that?
I had a bunch of Colombians chase me one time through the woods because this guy was with me, knocked a bunch of rocks off as we're observing them.
Was that during Iran-Contra?
That was actually.
Son of a bitch!
You're good, aren't you?
All right, let's go. What were you doing out there?
So that was actually assisting DEA. We're helping observe. I wasn't supposed to be shooting anybody or nothing. I'm just on a hill, way off, looking down there. And this guy that was with me, I'm not going to say what branch he's from, wasn't in the military though. And he knocks off a bunch of gravel off the front of this, and somebody down at that village saw it. And here they came, boy. I mean, lots of vehicles. And I'm like, get. And we just ran, and they're coming after us. And to the point where the helicopter wouldn't pick us up at the first HLZ. They said it was too hot. There's too many people on us. And so we started having to do the old ziggity-zag through the jungle and all this other crap. And so luckily we made it to the second one. But
what part of Colombia?
So, near Bogota. Just say that.
Okay.
Where it's high.
Yeah, and this is later 80s.
Yeah.
So this is
about
like,
86.
This is getting near the height of the Colombian narcos.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You don't want to be caught.
Oh no.
At that time.
No.
So it was funny. And later it was really funny after that. But when that dude knocked that gravel off, I crapped my pants up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I say gravel, it's like a rock this big. It goes boom, boom, all the way down the side of this mountain. And there's a whole village full of bad guys. I'm like, this is brilliant.
Yeah, that's not.
And he
not
couldn't
good.
run with the crap. So
how many guys did you have with you?
One. That's it. Me and him.
You are outmanned.
Yeah, so it was fun. By the time we got on the helicopter, it was really awesome. I loved that part.
You give them a little wave from up there? Little salute.
Later.
Goodbye.
No, luckily, I didn't even see him, but my guy's on the M60 if need be. You know, but he's probably dying to shoot him, but we didn't even see him after that.
Well, we got onto this tangent because we were talking about SEAR and like some of the other training you did besides sniper school. So how long total again was, you said this earlier, but you said it all in week periods. What was the total length of weeks where your training was done before like continued education training? Like meaning you're a ranger and you're in it?
12 weeks AIT basic, 3 more weeks of airborne school, 3 more weeks of RIP, and then you go to your unit.
Okay, so like 18 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, about 18.
Okay.
Back to back.
So you get into a unit, and you were telling me outside before we started, you just missed Grenada?
Yeah, I came in right after Grenada.
Right after.
Well, about 9 months, I think, 8 months, but long enough.
Did you go there, like,
No.
Afterwards, where we had a base and stuff? Or
Never
nothing?
went. I just showed up to the unit with airborne wings, and I was like the only sucker in there with nothing else on. And everybody else had combat infantry badge, gold stars, combat scrolls. And here I am standing there with nothing, and there's no combat going on anywhere. And I wasn't getting one anytime soon.
And you wanted the action.
And I was like, man, this sucks. This is terrible. Yeah, it just blows.
Yeah,
So-
it's a strange time, too, like when you look at the history of it, because we're in those... What year did you come out again, 84?
First time I came out of 80. No, I came out in 87.
Okay, 87. So you're in that decade after the Vietnam War. You're still 5 years pre-Desert Storm. So the 80s are this time where, you know, communism's thawing around the world. There's more diplomacy going on. There's some weird shit here and there, like happening in South America. Obviously, you did some shit there. But, like... What was the first? Obviously, you're not lining up in 87 thinking, okay, we got a war right now, but you are looking for action. So where'd they first put you in?
South and Central America was pretty much where the stuff really got going. El Salvador, Nicaragua.
What was going on in El Salvador?
That was a uprising, you might say. It wasn't really, I wouldn't even call it a real conflict. It was more of a bunch of bad guys wanting to do bad things, and they just sent a crew down there to keep them from doing it. Pretty much all I can say about that. But
so that's not one you can
yeah,
really... Okay.
But that part stopped. So, but the thing was that wasn't released. So I didn't get anything from it because it wasn't released till 2016, I think. 2016, I think, where you could actually have a patch from it or whatever.
Got it. So it's totally secret.
Yeah, but the Nicaragua thing was a good one.
Was that the one where Dale might have been on the same mission in some way?
Maybe.
We were talking on the phone.
Same era, yeah.
Yeah, when I said Dale Comstock on the phone, he's like, Dale Comstock? Holy shit! I haven't heard that name in a long time.
He's probably down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good time. I remember one time we went to a bar, and it was like this triangle shaped. The road was in a Y, and this bar was actually shaped like it. It's called Waco's in can't remember the name of the town. Outside of Palmo Air Base, either way. And Nicaragua was just right over there. And we come in there, and all these little kids are running around. We're always giving them money and giving them, buy them food and stuff like that. And they keep you right. They keep bad guys away. And, they let you know when things are going. They're like, they got their finger on the pulse of the entire city. And we're in there partying, just having a good time, just messing around, drinking, whatever. And we got guns on, and of course, but back when you're allowed to drink with guns, no.
The better days.
Yeah, but you're not getting shit faced because you're downtown. You don't want to get in trouble down there with that problem. And all of a sudden, my guy Jorge comes walking in, and he's like 12 maybe. He goes, "Time to go." And I was like, "Okay, let's go." And I grabbed my 2 guys, and apparently all these people knew that the bad guys were outside, so they just gathered up, and the building was shaped like a Y, like I was saying. They gathered up on this side of the doorway, so when we came out, we could hang a right and take off that way back to where our vehicle was. And as we're stepping out, I look back like that, and there's probably 60 or 70 armed, camouflaged Latin American dudes leaning up against that wall.
Oh,
right
they were
there.
camouflaged. This is not like gangster shit. This is like, I mean, it is, but this is like government shit.
Yeah, there were guys that weren't in the mood of messing around too much and, carrying AKs and stuff. But I got a glimpse of them, and I was like, man, we're better off they don't spot us. And to this day, I don't even know who they were, exactly. I just know I wasn't in the mood to duke it out with a Beretta 9mm. You know what I mean?
No, that might have not ended well for you.
No.
So, but that lends another question here, because it seems like when I talk with people about different missions, maybe in that time period, but in other time periods too, and stuff like South America, there's missions where the governments of places where there's problems going on are partnered on the mission. Like, yeah, come in, do it. And then there's missions where maybe perhaps the one in El Salvador where you're just going in quietly. Yeah. How does, like, obviously at this time there's a lot of problems in all those countries. How did the military make the decision to be like, yo, we're going to be discreet and not tell and apologize later, versus, hey, we're actually going to talk with the president and his staff and be like, hey, we got to go do this?
Well, you want to try it?
I don't know if the military made that decision. I mean,
you want to elaborate there?
there's agencies and other departmps, State Department.
There you go.
Gotcha.
That's where we're leaning.
We'll get Bustamante in here and talk to him about it. Overthrow a few governments. Never heard nobody.
Yeah, no, I mean, think about that though. It does suck. Like, your destiny is in the hands of, foreign affairs officers or so-called foreign affairs officers. They get to dictate everything that you do.
Yeah, it's crazy the difference, but then the amount of work that has to happen between guys like you and then like the case officers and the foreign affairs officers. Obviously, we've had both in here. I've had ground branch guys like Dale and Joe Tedai. I've had special forces guys like you. Obviously, they are too, where you're the muscle and, in a lot of cases, the brains coming in on these missions to execute them. But they're the other brain that's like, well, this is a part of a bigger plan.
Yeah.
Here's what we're doing. But your job is to complete your mission, right? You're given an objective. This is what these guys got to go, or these guys got to get captured, whatever. Here's where it's got to happen. This is the time it's got to happen by. I'm going to go do it. Did you live by that versus ever letting yourself think about, well, what are we really doing here?
If it was orders, I just kind of did it. If it was if I'd ever seen something, which I haven't, if I saw something just outlandish, like go in and shoot up something that did not need to be shot up or had no effect on the battlefield whatsoever, I would have whined about that for sure. I've had specific missions where I've discussed it with other people, like, okay, what exactly are we doing this for? And usually it gets clarified. And I'm kind of, oh, okay, I didn't have all the info. You want to go into every one of them wholeheartedly, you know what I mean? But your primary mission is to do what you're supposed to do to meet the objective. And your command, in special forces at least, is usually driven to get to that end result. You know what I mean? They're not going to guide you down the wrong path normally or put you in danger for no good reason whatsoever. I'm not saying it has never happened. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of decisions to be making to not have something go wrong, But to give you an idea of how the military plays with the agencies, different agencies, stuff like that. Remember I told you we were working for helping those DEA guys?
Right.
They had found a house. We went into this house and hid it, and it was empty. And but as we're leaving, the DEA guys are outside, and they had the sniper. We were pulling Overwatch with sniper rifles, with all that. They hit it first, and then we rolled in and just secured it. So as we're sitting inside there, though, all of a sudden hear a gunfire erupt from a room inside the house, and it turns out there's one of the kids' rooms. The bed flips up, and there's a cellar underneath it, or a tunnel. So somebody flipped it up and just started shooting out that window at those DEA guys. So they turned around and started shooting the building, and me and my buddy are still in the building.
No, you got it.
So they have one of those little doggy gates that separates the kitchen from the living room. So we're crawling over that thing, trying to get the hell out of there. And there's stuff falling everywhere. And it all gets done, blah, blah. And we come back and we go down into that. They go down into the tunnel first, and it's like this long tunnel. It goes into a trailer house, and it's full of cocaine and all kinds of stuff, big, huge boxes of money. And it's being filtered out into a river. That's the way it gets the filter out of there.
What do you mean it's being filtered out?
Like all the fumes are coming out and going underneath the water, and there's a river right next to it.
I got you now.
And so he said, you two go down there and secure it. We're going to get all our crap together, and start hauling all this crap off. And I mean, it's a lot of stuff, huge piles of money. And we're over just looking at it. I was like, wow, that's a lot of $100 bills. and they're in these big boxes like this
Don't
big.
mind if I do.
So I was like, you know what you could do? You could just flip this over, cut a chunk off the bottom, get you a bunch of money, stick it in your cargo, flip back. And we're making all kinds of jokes about it, and like this is funny, and so it goes. Nobody swaps any money or nothing. It ends up them coming back down. Like, okay, let's start loading it up. And they start scooping all that coke off in the trash bags, and we start grabbing all these cases of because you could walked out there, put it in the trucks. They had like 4 vans, so we threw it all in 4 separate vans, and then they frisked us.
Oh, good thing he didn't take any.
And then I was like, how come they're not being frisked? And he's like, they're with us.
Powers of knowing the inside,
Okay.
man.
So anyway, it went 4 separate vans. I don't know. I mean, I didn't follow up on it. I'm sure it went back and done the right thing with it. I have no doubt. So
Yeah, we had in Ken McGee, and then we're going to have in, we confirmed that, right? We're having in Pena and Murphy, right? Yeah, so the guys who were down there, my friend Ken McGee was on the team with Pena and Murphy, who ended up being the subjects of Narcos, the show. But, they were down there a long time. Like, Ken was down there, I think, like 7 years straight or something like that in Colombia, just in the middle of a war. And they're, no disrespect, but it's like they're DEA agents. You don't think of it this way, but at the time they kind of had to be. And then they're calling in, I guess, backup in the form of men who bring bullets and death as necessary.
I mean, I don't know if they even have enough people to pull that mission all by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If it be at that point in time, because that's a monster.
Oh my God,
that whole thing is just so massive. I mean, I don't even know where you'd begin to take the whole thing out. Is a whole different matter. I don't even know.
Did you ever, like you said, if you were in the middle of a mission, which this never happened as you put it, but after things happen, years later, and you see maybe where the pieces of that one mission fell on the board with some big chessboard of foreign affairs or policy that some dudes in Langley maybe were making, did you ever have questions about the strategy or whether or not that was just or fair?
No, I don't think so. That's kind of hard to say because the battlefield and the logistical piece of that is so freaking gigantic too. When you have a bunch of different entities involved, and then you got all these different special operations units involved, and all this other stuff. There's so many pieces together that I don't even know if you'd ever know that they're tied together unless you just knew they happen in the same spot. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many big chunks happening at all times, and there's a lot of at the peak of Iraq and Afghanistan. There's everybody known to man over there. I mean, not just our country, but everybody else's country's got their guys there too.
Oh yeah,
and we're doing all these combined operations. So I don't think you'd ever be able to tie them together to find out. Really, they're just too massive. I could do it within special forces, but then if I went in and tried to do the navies and everybody else's, I don't think I could do it. But I never did question much of that. And most of the time, luckily, I don't know about everybody else, but most of the time for special forces and higher, they don't really tell us how to do it. They just tell us the end result. They want to end state. Like this guy is somewhere in Basra, for instance. This is the way we got it. The British know there's a guy there. He did some stuff he shouldn't have done, blew up some stuff. We need to make him go away or bring him in, one of the two. And the Brits going to help you, SAS. Okay, do we have any clue where he's at? Nope. Do what you do. All right, then we just
go find him.
But see, that ain't my primary mission. It's one of my missions, so I'm still hunting down dozens of other people, and I'm just waiting for all this stuff to culminate. And we got people that are giving us intel also that we just put that with ours, and we just build, like a big storyboard or spotter chart or something, and then we run across them. And in this particular case, the Brits got the pop on it, and they asked us if we want to go with them, and we literally just got into Basra on this one, and it's back in the cowboy days, man, where anything goes. And there's only 3 of us there because we were a forward party, so we hopped in there with them, went down there, and they did the hit, and ran inside the house, and there's 8 dudes. Well, first of all, they blew up the gate off the house next to it because we weren't sure which house. They're getting the signal off of it. Blew the gate off this one with like four blocks of C4. They do P for plenty now. One of those times where you set a charge, you run around the block to set it off, and it moves your hair.
Yeah.
Came back, hit this house.
I don't say that like I know from experience, but I'm picturing it.
You normally can stay in a stack when you blow a door, you know what I mean? No, you're not blowing it with them guys. And so it blows. We run in there. Wrong house. Must be the one next to it. But the house next to it is like this big 4-story tall, beautiful home, all this other stuff. And so I was like, we probably should have chose that one first now that I'm looking back. And so we go in there, hit this house, blow the door off, blow the gate off, then blow the door off, and there's 8 dudes asleep in the living room. And I'm like, so let me see. We just blew up 4 blocks of C4, half a block away. We blew the gate off this house, and we just blew it up with a triple wrap on this front door of stuff. And you're telling me these guys are asleep?
There we go. Now we got it.
So we walk in there, and here's the 8 dudes asleep. Here's the big shelves over here, and there's all these plastic bags with like laptops and money. And these guys are dead asleep. Here we are just standing looking down, and I'm like, no, get up. What are you doing?
Day.
So we got them up, and one of them was in the back. They gave us some photos of the guy we wanted. So I pull this out of my deal, and I look at all of them, got them up against the wall. We're looking at them. I was like, nope. Dadgummit, it's not him. And also my boy calls in the back. Come back here, check this one. There's one back in the back hiding. Went back here. Oh,
there
look
he
at
is.
that. Number one most wanted, where we were at and all this off this blacklist. Had them send us a guy out, bringing the rest of the list with photos and all this stuff from our people. And here's 7 more. They're on that freaking list. But they're set. This is like
That's the
8
jackpot.
of 15. So, there's like 3 top 3 right off the bat. And I said, oh, yeah, you're F now. I mean, you're going, everybody's going with, all y'all are coming with.
Going to school.
Yeah. You had all that money.
They woke up that day thinking it was going to be good. They went to bed and not so
today.
much.
Not good.
Not a good day.
And you knew they were up to something because there was no cars there. And there's all these people and, But the cool thing was we were staying in this building. There's these Australians in the bottom, command structure. And we had like a fire pit out there. And we had these bags of money. I don't know. If you added it up, it's probably $500,000. And it's like hundreds, though. They're all, they're fake. So we're never hitting them with a marker. Watch the TV. Choo, choo, choo. They're all bad. So we put them back in the bag, and they're down there they're cooking out, what I says? And I was like, we're just eating with them and stuff. And they're like, man, we ain't got any more firewood. And I was like, hold on. I ran back over there, and I said, here's how we do. Boom. Boom. I just started throwing these freaking big old wads of $100 bills. They're like, oh, my God.
This guy's crazy.
I was like, it's getting burned tomorrow either way, so I might as well do something cool with it. So it freaked them out for about 10 minutes.
Did you do any jobs like plainclothes?
Yeah, lots of jobs.
So you did. So in your training, did you do a lot of surveillance training as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. It's levels. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say, but it's from here to up here somewhere, depending on how far you go with it. And I still do it. I help teach it now, as a matter of fact, as a contractor.
No shit.
I help test them on it, is what I really do mostly. And once they're trained to do it, I come back, and me and a lot of other people, we test them on their skill sets and all that. And that's about all I can talk about that part. But you go through all this different stuff and how to do it and how to surveil and how to know when you're being looked at also, and how when you're looking at somebody to see if you're looking at this guy, is somebody else looking at you, counter surveillance.
Oh, yeah.
Because you start doing stupid stuff, watching this guy, and somebody else that knows their stuff could watch and tell that you're staring at him. So you got to be able to do all this without them knowing all these things are happening, And just like anything, I mean, gangsters do it all the time,
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. So that's nothing super secret. It's just being good at it is the trick.
Did you do the training where they take you into the city and throw you in the middle of people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure did. Did one where they put us in hotels and they come back and all your stuff's missing out of the hotel. And you're just like, okay. You don't even know what's going on now. I was like, I don't even know where I'm supposed to live. And you're kicked out. So I don't get to stay in this hotel any longer. And all my crap's gone. That's cool. Start walking down the road, just pouring down rain. So that
You got to figure it out.
Here we go. Then some guys snatch you up in a van.
Wait, what do you mean they snatch you up in a van? You just threw that one in there real soft.
Oh, well, you have nowhere to go. You don't really know what to do. So to add to it and try to make it really, really relentless, they just pull up next to you in a van and snatch you up and put you in there and drive you around, maybe dump you out somewhere else, interrogate you a little bit in there, just kind of add to some fun.
They give you the little chloroform for good taste.
I tell you what, it'd make it a lot nicer if they did. Anything would have been better than that, because half of them are sitting on you, and they're just kind of trying to make your life suck a little bit, and they throw your butt right back out somewhere else. But every course is run differently, so you're not really giving away anything by saying it, because whoever's running the course, they just come up with stuff themselves. All that stuff in between. It's just what they think works, or it might be for you.
But you're saying like these courses and stuff though too, and it's like this is the part though that they're doing like out in public.
Oh yeah, you're in the middle of it.
This is not like the course like you're out on a separate course. You're in the middle of random ass people who have no idea this is going on. Hey guys, if you have a second, please be sure to share this episode around on social media and with your friends, whether it's Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, doesn't matter. It's all a huge help. It gets new eyeballs on the show, and it allows us to grow and survive. So thank you to all of you who have already been doing that, and thank you to all of you who are going to do so now. You got to figure out sometimes, like, I know Ted I told stories about how, they'd be doing reconnaissance work, going through cities, and you have to figure out how to break into, like, a clothing store and change your clothes without being seen and shit. Like, God forbid you get caught, This is high stakes kind of stuff just for training.
Those donation boxes, those things are the bomb now.
The donation
boxes where you have people pull up and they throw all their kids' toys in there and they throw their extra clothes in and all that kind of stuff.
They look like big dumpsters.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them big door on them.
So that's like the golden ticket in that business.
Because we all know how to pick locks. And so we just pick the lock on it, hop in there, grab you a bunch of cool clothes and walk around. Nobody's looking at you then, dude, because nothing matches.
You all know how to pick locks, though, you said.
Oh, yeah. That's another course. Picking locks, hot wiring cars.
God, you do some fun shit.
It is fun.
Not all of it, but,
Yeah. Some of it's fun. Some of it's not great at all. They're getting dumped out in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes they just want you to walk back. So, see, that's not fun. It may be way out there, too. They're like, look, there's Vegas. Get to walking.
It's there in the distance. You can almost touch it.
Or maybe it's Baltimore, Maryland. But
that would be an L.
Well, remember that time, I don't know how many years ago. It's been 5 or 6 or something. A kid got shot by the police, a black kid, and that stirred up some serious trouble, and there was all kinds of rioting. They're burning stuff.
Oh, Freddie Gray.
Is that what it was?
In Baltimore, where he was in the back of the I think he was in the back of the car, and they like strangled him or something.
Can we
Google that?
I remember he died.
Are you talking about the
Freddie Gray,
the female officer that?
Is it? I honestly can't. I just remember there was a big riot, and they were setting
Shot him
in
Baltimore.
fires. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be Freddie Gray.
It says here there's a killing of Freddie Gray, April 12th to April 19th, 2015 in Baltimore.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah, that's when it was. So when that happened, for one, at night we don't do night operations in Baltimore or Portland or Seattle, because those are some of the big. We like big cities to do these projects in, And a lot of these people are females that we do. They might be from agencies and stuff like that are part of the course.
Oh, so wait, do they mix this up? Like all different people from all different...
Everywhere, depending on what company you're working for.
Oh, interesting.
So if it's your company or somebody else's or whatever. So at nighttime, you can't just have whoever walking down certain streets.
Yeah.
Because I can't walk down certain streets unarmed. You'll get it. There's just trouble. I pulled up to a red light before in the wrong place, right off the square in Baltimore, and I had a whole crew of dudes chasing me down the street, throwing beer bottles at me and crap because I was in the wrong neighborhood. But anyway, we're doing it daytime, and I'm literally walking right down the middle of the square, and I look off to my right, which I believe is the south, and there's cars burning and stuff. There's nothing good going on, and I fall on a dude in front of me doing some stuff, and everybody in that crew's shoulder checking me.
Shoulder checking you?
Like everybody walking by, boom, banging me because I was the only guy that didn't look like he belonged there, I guess, or something. I don't know. I wasn't dressed the same, wasn't a gangbanger or whatever. And they're all banging into me and smacking me, and I was like, this sucks, really. And it's broad daylight, like noon. And apparently they weren't doing it to the guy. The guy following, he's cool. Apparently I just look like a Texas redneck or something. So anyway, that just tells you, you just don't know. But you get off that square where there's not 1,000 people standing around, anything goes, for any place you're at on the earth.
So if I heard you correctly, though, at the beginning of this, what you're getting at is that you, with your current companies, you do some of this training on a contract basis for the government on behalf.
Yeah.
And what we were talking about was when you were in it, which is where you were being trained by the government in that case, not by a contractor, right?
Yeah.
So when you were doing that, were you just doing it with other guys in the Army Rangers, or was it also where you're doing it with people from different branches?
That was all Special Forces when I was being trained. That's all in Special Forces at the time. I don't believe there was any civilian contractors on the training itself part. I believe we were being evaluated by some civilian contractors, though. Because that's what I do now. I don't really teach them how to do it. I teach them how not to do it. If I catch them doing something they're not supposed to do, that kind of thing, more or less, I tell the team leader, or if I'm the team leader or whatever, we brief them over the phone. We don't talk face to face ever. But like I saw you do these things, don't do these things. They're not what you're supposed to do. They're not what you're trained to do.
What are some common things?
Don't let me know that I know that you know that I'm following you. Because in all reality, if you were if you're in a foreign country and a bunch of bad guys were pulling some, and they're good at it now, real good.
The bad guys.
Yeah, the bad guys are very good at it. And because they're raised doing it. Say they're pulling like a 6-vehicle surveillance team on you, and you're driving around town, this, and that, and the other, and you realize that there is somebody on you. Somehow you see too many signs, whatever they are, doesn't matter what they are. You realize it, and you start trying to maneuver your way to get away from them, this, and that, and they realize it, that you realize that, you've been seen. They'll just put 20 cars on you now. And they might just put an aircraft in there and just shoot your damn vehicle right off the street, because I'm not even going to mess with you now. Because I want to know if you're doing something I don't want you to do, and if you're not telling me you're not doing it, then I might let you slide. But if you're not, I'll blow your car off the road.
Yeah. I've had my friend Shawn Ryan, who was in here, he was a Navy SEAL who then ended up being CIA GRS, where he was protecting assets and case officers around the world and stuff, and did heavy surveillance. But before that, back when he was a SEAL, he actually got trained by MI6 to do undercover work, that he got all the skills. He didn't end up having to do the mission that they were going to do. I think they were going to go hunt some of the genocidal guys in Bosnia at the time, but then he didn't end up doing it. But, some of those skills most of those skills completely translated to what he was doing. And so when we were talking, he actually brought up some of the same concepts that my friend Andy Bustamante, who is a CIA case officer, brings up, which is the different ways that you get burned. So I'm going to forget the terms, but you remember those things? Unless he was like, there's 3 things. There's one where you get a tail and you don't know it. There's one where you get a tail and maybe they show you, and there's one where like they're bringing you in.
Yeah.
Right. So his point was that if you get a tail and they're not showing you, but you catch it, it could just be like you're an American in a foreign country, so they're just double checking and they have no idea who you are. Yeah. But then if you get a tail and they're kind of showing you, it's like, hey, we think you're somebody, this is a problem. And then if you get the tail where they're right on you, they're going to capture you. Yeah. So in the course of your career, did you have, I would imagine a lot of your surveillance work involved more shorter jobs, meaning you're not somewhere for a year or something like that. But did you have situations where you thought you might be getting burned?
I've had cases, myself and a few other people have had a lot of cases where we've actually caught dudes doing stuff on base that were foreign nationals.
Whoa.
And we've seen all kinds of stuff pulling surveillance on us. And once you do it a lot, that's the reason that when you go through the course, that's why the training to be graded and all that kind of stuff is so extensive, because they want to give you every scenario you'll ever run into. So if whoever's in charge of that guy in training he'll call back and tell us, like, I need you to do these things because he hasn't ever seen it before. And then we try to do it as best we can do it without him noticing or whatever, but we'll just do it till he finally starts picking up on it or whatever. That way it goes back like that file folder I was talking about. I've seen it. I know what it looks like. I know what somebody looks like when they do this. And we've been on base many times and see a guy doing something and feel that know what the deal is with all that kind of stuff. We're like, hey, want to check out right there? But then we'll just turn it off and we'll just be walking around doing our own thing, minding our own business. But meanwhile, we're watching. And shoot, man, I can't even count how many times we caught guys doing that. Because there was a point there where we had a real problem with insider threat. Like guys, foreign nationals that would work with us, not us, but work with U.S. military or government agencies and stuff on base. And he knows about it, I'm sure. Like, for instance, I'll just say, there's a bunch of Iraqis that worked on an Iraqi base.
Right.
And U.S. military is there. And a guy just, and out of nowhere, just his best pals, spins around, kills like 7 Air Force dudes
Playing
right
both
there.
sides.
Unarmed.
Yeah.
Because he has them, you know?
I just had my friend Joby Warwick in here for the second time who... I was actually telling you about him off air. He's the guy who wrote the book Black Flags on ISIS, that won the Pulitzer. But his first book was actually the basis of one of the many plot points within Zero Dark 30, where they had El Beloui, that doctor, double agent, come on the base and blew up CIA members, and I think there were also, correct me if I'm wrong, there were a couple military guys there too. But like, same deal. It just makes you wonder. Do you ever really know any of these guys?
Well, and the thing is, you have to take into account too, which I know he's dealt with this too, is culture's context for one. I mean, it is, but religion's one thing too. If you're smart, you learn about the religion of the people that you're going to see, because their religion is not the same as yours. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir by saying this,
sure.
But certain ones are never going to be your buddy. Never, ever, ever. But they'll play like you're your buddy and all this other stuff. Now, I'm not to say that a Muslim, for instance, a person who practices a Muslim religion could not be your friend ever. But there's other ones that will have the Muslim religion that will not be your friend ever, ever. It depends on what their state of mind.
How do you determine that?
It's tribal. It's very tribal as well.
Tribal too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for context, Ryan, you were one of the guys who was chasing out Zakawi in Iraq.
Many.
And obviously you saw this. It's been hinted, but just so people know, you saw this up close for sure as well.
Oh yeah, no, hands down. I mean, we there are certain neighborhoods where you can go and speak with the sheik, and there are certain neighborhoods where the sheik is calling through the loudspeakers to have calling reinforcements to come blow you up.
Right. We talked about that a lot in episode 117 when you were in here. That's some pretty heavy shit. Some of that.
It's like when you hear the speakers going off, and it's not prayer time. And you don't speak the language, you better find somebody who does.
And you hear the tone, too.
Yeah.
And everybody's doors are closed. Nobody's outside. Everybody's running inside. It's like, here we go.
Here we go.
Game time.
Same way like that thing we're talking about, pulling into the market and all the doors are shutting. You better find somewhere to be soon, or be ready to do something, because it's coming.
And if you see a car driving on the road, you better disable that vehicle as soon as possible, or it's going to blow you and your whole unit to smithereens.
Yeah, we're going to get to Iraq today, because obviously that's where you won your Silver Star and spent a lot of time there. And Ryan, you spent a lot of time there as well. But in the meantime, we were talking about the 80s, where you're doing a lot of these jobs where you're coming in South America, whether it's going into this country or that country. A couple quick questions on that just before we move on. When you go in to do some of these missions, like you were talking about the one in Colombia where it's just you and another guy from another agency and then the DEA agent, so it's just you in a military capacity. But like, are most of these missions you're going in with your same team that you work with, your same unit within the Army Rangers, or is there a lot of like, no, it's just you or one other guy going in?
Depends on what size element it is that's required. If it's a platoon size element, 25, 30 dudes, something like that, it'll be my crew, you know what I mean? The guys I work with. Special stuff like sniper stuff. It might be depending on how you're structured. It might be 2 or 3 different sniper teams of 2, like this. There'll be guys you all know. Advisory roles might just be 2 guys. I mean, there's a time when two Army E7 Special Forces dudes caused the coup d'etat.
What do you mean E7? Just for people out there.
Sergeant first class.
Okay.
They planned and caused a coup d'etat in South America, and it went. So I'm not going to say who or when or how, but it happened.
So that wasn't the CIA's fault then. That was someone else's fault.
So something like that did happen.
Okay.
And it was planned by 2 guys, because the E7 in Special Forces is kind of the middle of the road rank wise, I guess you'd say. Operator wise, it is the rank. Operator E7 is the rank perfect because E8, now you're in a different position. But E7 is that spot. So you're talking about E7 guys that are not normally planning coup d'etats. You know what I mean?
But in that case, they were.
They grew a brain.
Yeah, they grew a brain and talked to somebody that said it's okay, apparently. So I don't remember what year, what their names were, or anything like that, of course. But
Yeah.
or exactly where it was.
You,
But
you forgot that.
Yeah, I forgot.
Conveniently.
Yeah.
Well, there were some guys, I think they were former Green Berets that tried to do something like that a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
They got.
Is that's public then?
Oh yeah, that was
That
all
one's
over the
public.
news.
Can,
Yeah,
can we look up that story? Green
Fortunately.
Berets try to overthrow government?
But they're former.
Former
Yes.
Green Berets. So they got like court-martial and everything.
They got,
well,
trouble.
no, they're in jail.
No, they're in jail.
Yeah, right, right.
They're in jail over there.
Well, they didn't have military or agency backing.
Yeah.
So they did it all by themselves.
Is it Operation Gideon? Is that it?
I can't remember the name of it.
It's in
Well,
Venezuela.
Let's pull it up. Oh, they were trying to take down the old Venezuelan government?
Yeah, that's what it says here. In Venezuela. This is 2020. This just
Yeah,
happened.
they
Can
were
we put
running
this
their
on the
own.
screen?
They had their
Your
own
TV is
contracting
not
company.
working.
Oh.
I don't know what's going on with it.
That's all right.
Yeah, it just happened not too long ago.
Man, it was
It was bad for them, though.
pathetic.
Yeah, it was
Sad.
terrible. That's a big operation to take on by yourself.
Hold on. We're going to pause for 1 sec. I'm just going to fix the TV. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. We got the TV working. So this is Operation Gideon 2020. You want to read this, Alessi?
Yeah, so we got here. It was an unsuccessful attempt by the active coalition of the Venezuelan International Reserve, Venezuelan dissidents, and a private security firm, Jordan Gordez Silvercorp USA, to infiltrate Venezuela by sea and remove Nicolas Maduro from power. The plan executed from the 3rd to 4th May 2020 was for the expatriate Venezuelan military living in Colombia to enter the country by boat at Macuto, take control of an airfield, capture Maduro and other high-level figures in his administration, and expel them from the country. Wow.
Nice. Sounds like a plan, boys.
Wow. Yeah.
So they're acting on their own accord doing that, and then these guys. Can we scroll down like to the prison section? What
Poor guys never even got paid. I guarantee it.
when they're dealing. Oh, were they doing this like? Yeah, go down, keep going. Oh, this is long. This is a book.
Is this the guy?
We got to do a podcast on this.
Oh, dude, you do need to.
That's fine. Let's find it. If there's a journalist out there who's been covering this, hit a boy up. Let's do it.
Aftermath.
All right. Different versions of the narrative led to questions about the operation. Maduro's attorney, General Tarek William Saab, announced that 25,000 national troops were mobilized in a Venezuelan military mission named Bolivarian Shield, Spanish Escudo Bolivarianario, to protect the country from similar attempts. Saab requested that the Supreme Tribunal of Justice declare, how do you say that, Alessi? Guaidos? You're Spanish.
Guidos.
Yeah. Okay. Guido's political party, popular World War II, a terrorist group due to attempted sea incursion. Guido responded with the charges, stating that Maduro defended irregular groups like National Liberation Army and the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. Indictments and arrests. This is what I want. As of May 21st, 2020, 66 arrests took place and 99 arrest warrants have been issued, 63 of which remain outstanding. So they labeled them mercenaries and captured them. There's a lot of details there. I don't want to get too lost in the weeds. But basically, some dudes got in trouble, and it looks like some guys are on the ground with police cop foot on them.
See the one thing it says right up at the very top? War materials on their boats. That did it.
What does that mean?
Gun stuff to fight wars, guns, paperwork, things that you can use in that to try to do. Because see how they got different markings and flags and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
All the things that just kind of lead towards some kind of a takeover, which just is absolutely incriminating.
I love how they didn't forget their American flag patches.
Gonna represent this goddamn country.
Follow me to freedom.
They want-
My God,
That was terrible. That's tragic, man. Wow.
it's embarrassment.
That's a big, man, that's optimistic.
They even had their dog tags on.
Yeah. So you never got involved in anything like that, obviously.
Never.
All right, good.
Nope. I'm
Good.
not part of anything like that.
Just making sure. You know, we like law-abiding citizens in here sometimes.
Now, if you give me like 1,000 people and some U.S. aircraft.
No,
You got enough to work
no.
with? You got enough to work with there?
U.S. aircraft sanctioned.
Okay. Oh, sanctions. See, that's cheating. That's sanctioned.
Yeah,
That
that's
means
what
the
I'm talking
DOD signed off in some secret document and said, don't worry about it. We know, but
Way more
We
fun
don't
when
know.
when the president's name's signed on something. It makes me feel way better about stuff.
it makes you feel like you got a big dick when you have that,
It
right?
definitely does.
You can do what you want.
When you got a Spectre gunship flying above your head, you're kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
I want that to disappear. Please. Poof, it's gone.
So what were you doing in the 90s?
See, I got out in 87, and I didn't come back till 92, very end of 92.
Oh, so you left.
Yeah, I left. I thought I was done.
What made you want to leave? And can you stay a little turn to me? I just want to make sure the camera's
my bad.
ready. You're good. You're good.
I was trying to be a part of the collective.
Yeah, yeah. We'll leave Ryan on his island. Sorry.
That's where I belong.
I like you turn this way. That's perfect. Your camera's right there. Leaving in 87.
Yeah.
You thought you were done.
I thought I did my time because not everybody in my family did retirement. You know what I mean? Like very few actually retired from the military. They just served. But weirdly enough, they almost all got combat time, like serious combat time, you know. And they did their time. They got all their accolades and decorations and all this other stuff, you know, and went about their way and did great things actually afterwards. And a lot of them held public offices and things, you know, for a minute. They didn't really seem like that was their cup of tea. And then they just kind of moved on doing different things. Like my dad did a whole bunch of really, really cool stuff, and he ended up being an air conditioning heating guy. That's just what he liked to do. He enjoyed it, an electrician. And taught me how to do some of that stuff and made me crawl through that insulation too, you know, because that's why you have a kid. But getting you ready for boot camp, son. Low crawl, hit it. And I got out, went to college, University of Texas. Well, I started off at Grayson County College, computer science. I was pursuing the money end of it because in 87.
Wait, you did computer science?
Yeah, believe it or not.
You.
Allegedly.
Yeah, sadly. More like
I just can't picture you like not driving yourself nuts at a desk typing things.
We're not
away.
That part of the story then, are we?
Okay. All right. I got ahead
That's
of you.
coming very soon. This is like the longest SEAR School ever. I'm not kidding, man. Except for beating me physically, it's just mentally. So I went to school, went up there for computer science with a minor in structural engineering, which I like structural engineering because I'm a math guy.
Right.
And did that for a while, then went down to University of Texas, Austin, went through that, got my degree, originally I went to work for EDS, which was owned by Ross Perot.
Shit.
So you can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
And it was all a bunch of, former military guys. I was like, this is awesome.
This is before he's doing the whole running for office. That was what, like 92 when he did that or something?
Yeah.
He's buying like up commercials for like an hour on
almost
NBC.
almost exactly the same time. It falls right in there. So whatever the case was, I worked there for like 3 weeks, and that whole section that I worked in was shut down because of some reason. They're getting rid of it and they're doing something else. So during that time, I went to another place called DSC Communications, became a programmer over there. Pretty much everything I used as a program is obsolete nowadays. Pretty much everything I took in college, computer-wise, is obsolete, except for a couple things, machine language coding, C+, that kind of thing. All the rest of those stupid programs they're gone and useless. And now I do good to turn the thing on and off. And so I got a job over there. I was one of the few former military members in there, set in my little area there and kept my mouth shut in the beginning. And then some other stuff went, and I realized nobody liked me. And I was too outspoken and this and that, and I just realized typing for 10 hours a day and not be able to read the street signs when I go home.
How many days in was this?
Till I decided I was sick of it was about 4. till I realized absolutely I wasted my money on this. And so
they didn't like the veteran in there? People didn't respect that?
They didn't like the way I acted either, because once he started treating me bad, then I started acting up. And started doing stuff just to annoy people.
Like what?
Like I had my food one time in my cubicle, and I didn't have it in a cooler or anything. I just had it in a plastic bag, threw it on the floor. And I had like some chicken fried steak in there, And we all shared a break room at different areas of the building. I went down there warming up my food, and somebody goes, there's ants all over that. I was like, I don't give a crap, dude. I got like 5 minutes. Just freaking threw the crap in the microwave, and it's heating up, and people were like, there's ants crawling out of the microwave. And I was like, but I said, here's the cool thing. Look at them. They're crawling all over that meat, and none of them are dead. Imagine that crap, dude. That's awesome.
Paul Rosalie would like that meal. He'd be all about that shit.
It's more monkey brains.
So I just like, it's ant. I mean, SEAR School, man, I survived on ants half the time. Those things are good.
Oh.
So
I don't want to know.
that's pick them up one at a time, though.
Nah.
It takes a while to get your meal in.
I'm good.
But so I ate that stuff, didn't really care about anything. And then our conversation earlier, there's a deal with a guy with a peace sign on his ankle, and I was like, come on now.
Oh, this was the guy with the peace sign? He was
Yeah.
working in the computer job.
Yeah.
So what happened, just for people who weren't in our conversation in the kitchen earlier?
He was a guy that had a peace sign, red, white, and blue peace sign on his ankle.
And you didn't like this?
I don't like peace signs in general.
Why?
Because if we had peace everywhere, I wouldn't have a job. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have a contracting job, wouldn't have anything. I mean, I want a certain amount of peace, but not all of it. Peace where I choose for it to be.
There's the quiet part out loud.
Yeah. And so we had words about that peace sign and this and that, and I didn't think he was up to par for the whole thing or whatever else, and we had discussions about it, and I said a bunch of mean stuff to him, and he put a peace sign on the back of his car with some shoe polish and thought he was going to be funny about it.
On the back of your car?
His car. But it had my name on it.
Oh.
It said, to Danny Hall. And it was the day I was leaving to go back in the military. And I was leaving there to go to the MEP station to get back to my stuff. And everybody knew it. And now everybody thinks it's funny. So they're like, what are you going to do? So I went out there as a Toyota Supra. I just hopped on the back, peed it right off the back window. And he just stood over with his big ponytail staring at me. And taking up about 2 parking spots with his belly. And so I hopped in the car and went off, and I said, I'll never see you punks again. Bye. I literally, when a recruiter called me, because I didn't know when I was going to go, he called me and said, when I call you, we're not taking prior service. So when I do call you, you got about 45 minutes to get your butt here. We got 1 prior service slot every so often. I don't know why that was that way there in that time. It was hard to get back in. And he called and said, his name was Sergeant Zapp. Pretty cool.
That's
cool
a good
ass
name.
Big old black dude, like 6'6", just Jack Diesel.
Zap?
Yeah, ZAPP.
Yeah.
Cool sucker. And he calls me up and goes, all right, Ranger, get your shit up here now. Time starts. Bink. And just hang up. I got on my shit and went into the trash can. Bye. Just walked
Gone.
out. I walked out the door. No notice, no nothing. I was
It's like out of a movie. Like the bat signal goes up. Whoop, here we go, boys.
I ain't never coming back, bro.
Gotham needs me.
Yeah, so that was that. Back in the Army I went to 101st to get back in because I had to make my rank back. You had to be an E4 specialist to get into Special Forces selection.
Again, for people out there, E4, you said E7 earlier, but
Yeah.
E4 is...
E4 is a specialist. So E1's private, E2's private, E3's private first class, and then E4 is where you're kind of starting to get into more of a leadership position, maybe like a team leader or something.
So are you going back into the Rangers when you're doing this? That's the goal?
No, I'm going back.
This is different.
I'm going back to go to Special Forces this time.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
no.
Gotcha.
And I've actually already started training for it because I already knew I was going to do it. And like about 6 months out. But it took me that long to get back in.
But you're saying there's an equal rank you had based on being in the Rangers, so then you have to earn back some of that rank to get to the point where then you can go into the Special Forces.
Because me being out of the Army.
Got it.
So I got out as
Understood.
an E5 sergeant, and I came back in as an E2 private.
Okay.
So imagine that.
They took 2.
Yeah, they took it all,
Wow.
man.
So normally they'll take 1 rank away.
Yeah.
And you were out 4 years? 4 or
5
5
and a
years?
half.
5.5.
Yeah.
So how old are you now? Like 28?
58?
28?
Oh, you mean
no,
now?
No,
I was
I
like
mean
58
then.
now. Oh.
Then, when you were getting back in. 28?
See, I got out when I was 21. Yeah, somewhere in there. 27,
Okay.
28. 28.
So you went and
Sounds
did,
right.
got this whole degree and everything, go out, you do a job for 4 days, you're like, fuck this, I'm going home.
Yep. Well, I decided in 4 days. It took me 6 months to get there, though.
Yeah.
I had to sit around and gut it out for the rest of the time, but I wouldn't say I was the best, in productivity. Most
Okay.
likely.
All right. So you get on, where was the base you had to report to?
Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
And we're in 1992 now?
Yep. November 92. Yep, November 92.
Okay.
I had to think about it for a second. There's a lot of dates here.
Right. So Mr. Gorbachev has torn down that wall at this point.
He done tore it down.
We got communism falling again. This is coming up right onto where Desert Storm had just happened too, right?
Yep.
You missed that, right?
I missed it.
That was 91?
Mm-hmm, 91.
Okay. So again, no main war on the table, but did you do work in the Balkans in the 90s?
Yeah, after that.
Okay,
Oh, yeah. Bosnia,
finally.
Kosovo.
All right, we got somebody because
Yeah.
this is I love this history. I mean, it's actually like a kind of nasty history to be honest, but it's one of the most forgotten periods in modern history, in my opinion, because I didn't even know about any of this until I get maybe like it was 2.5, 3 years ago, something like that. I saw an old image from Time magazine from '99 on the internet that showed the NATO bombs in Kosovo, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And then I started googling this. I was like, "Holy shit!" The breakup of Yugoslavia and that whole ex-communist bloc from in the Balkans led to you had all these thousands-year-old race wars going on between the people because they were all mixed up, and now you have Serbs, you have Croats, you have Albanians, you have Bosnians, you have some are Christians, some are Muslims, some are secular, and it led to things like the Bosnian genocide, which I mentioned Shawn Ryan was, I think, training to go in and get some of those guys at one point. It led to things like the Kosovo genocide, and again, this is like 50 years after people said never again.
Yeah.
It didn't take too long in like the same region too, but I would see a lot of stories then pop out where I'd listen to guys like you who had long distinguished careers in the military talk about their special forces or Navy SEALs work. And they would always start and like almost kind of gloss over like, I started off in Kosovo in 99, started off in Bosnia in 95. I'm like, holy shit, so many of our guys were like there. So what was that? Where did you get sent?
First to Bosnia, then to Kosovo.
Okay, so Bosnia.
I went to Kosovo 3 times, went to Bosnia once.
When was your first time going to Bosnia? What year? Approximately.
01.
Oh, so you went after.
Yeah.
You didn't go in the 90s.
No, because I was in the Coup course to be a Green Beret from 92 to, I was in there a while, apparently.
All right, well, let's go back.
I was going to say, I was in there a long time.
All right, let's go back for a minute because let's not miss some of that. So you decide to become a Green Beret within the Special Forces. What made the decision for you to want to go Green Beret as opposed to like Delta?
I just thought it was a path I should travel to progress. I thought Ranger or Green Beret, Delta was the proper way to do it. That's not written anywhere or anything. It's just the way I wanted to do it. My dad was a Green Beret, so I wanted to be a Green Beret. So there you go, and both of his brothers. So I wanted to be one too. If I'm going to do it, then I would eventually progress, go to Delta and all that stuff. But I went in 92, but I had to make my rank back, so that took 2 years-ish, somewhere in there to make that back. Then I went to selection in 94. Then it took another 7 months to even attend the course, probably. So another 7 months right there because it was just backed up. They just built a new facility. It was still part of it's at Fort Sam Houston, San Antonio, and the other part was still at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, being built. And I went to one of the last classes they had at Fort Sam Houston and went to that. And while we're waiting on, I was 18 Delta Medic, the medical course wasn't built yet. The rest of it, the first half was and the second half wasn't. So while I'm waiting on the second half to finish being built, I had to go do a year in Korea, completely out of special operations entirely again with a signal unit because they just picked a nice one to send me to.
They just put you on it.
They picked me something cush. And all I did was skydive the whole time I was there, just goofing off. And did skydive demonstration jumps. I was the assistant to the assistant training NCO. So the training NCO, he just kind of makes little schedules here and there. The assistant does nothing.
The assistant to the assistant
doesn't even show up. And all I did was just hop on trains, and me and this other guy, it's a lieutenant from another unit, and we just went around skydive, jumped into changes of commands, and just, it was really, that's good.
You just skydive wherever you want while you're over there?
Yeah, they got, because it's a club, it's forked. I can't remember the name of the club now. Anyway, it's on one of the military bases. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, it's a military club, and if you're a member of it, you end up being part of the leadership or whatever else. You just go up there, get the parachute, hop on a train, go to these places. But if you're jumping anywhere off these premises, the military bases, you have to be into, like a Korean base, it has to be for like a change of command where there's American involvement. Our command's there, their command's there.
Gotcha.
We parachute in, fly American flag in, fly Korean flag in.
I mean, I know you train people in Halo. You mentioned it. You train people in Halo jumps and stuff now. But before this era, had you done a lot of that before already?
Yeah, I'd already skydived a lot on the
got
civilian side.
On the civilian side?
Yeah.
Oh, not on the military side?
Oh, yeah. I just started.
Just for fun?
Yeah. When I was in college, I just started skydiving.
Why does that not surprise me?
My favorite thing was base jumping at the time. So I just carried around a parachute with me, and if I drove over a bridge that was at least 300 feet tall, I'd jump off of it.
Just anywhere?
Yeah.
Is that legal?
No,
I was gonna say
not
like,
at all.
So you just like hope there weren't cops at the
Yeah.
bottom by the time you floated.
Yeah.
Living
At
dangerously.
least a creek, a river, you get away with. But like my ex brother-in-law, he was a big deal in Marriott River Center in San Antonio, and that's 440 feet tall, over the Riverwalk and all that stuff.
It's high enough
And
to die.
yeah, plenty, and get a good look at it while you're doing it too, because you're not going fast when you first start. It takes a little bit to get terminal velocity, so you get to look at all those people in a boat down there before you hit it. And so he told me I could jump off that. But I couldn't jump off the property. I couldn't land off the property, or else I'd go to jail if it caught me. So there's a big, huge ballroom over here, and there's the big towers right here. So I jumped off the towers, flew over here to the ballroom, and just spiraled around like this, and then landed on top of the ballroom and walked back in the building.
You do a little curtsy when you landed.
Yeah, like, hey, nobody can
Thanks,
see me.
everybody.
Nobody can see me, but
Like, this is official government business.
that's right. Well, they were going to originally put me down as a window washer. And let me and jump off one of those deals. And I was like, dang, that'd be cool.
I fell again, man. I'm sorry.
Yes, my bad.
I think I got this parachute with me.
Safety parachute, not a rope. And so I walked in his office, took all my crap, took his closet right there, and walked off. And that cop showed up. They're like, yeah, somebody just jumped the parachute off the building. And he's like, what? Again? Oh my God.
It wasn't me.
They're like, okay, well, so he landed on the ballroom, so he didn't break any laws necessarily, but you'll keep an eye out. Okay. I come walking out of the bathroom. Thanks, bro. Got my shit and went down the road.
Oh my God. But before you got sent on to that base, I was a little confused. Are you saying that was before you went into Green Beret training?
My bad. So when I got done with all that, I graduated Special Forces course in 1998. So I was already a Green Beret.
So this base was when you were already a Green Beret.
I'd already been
But the Green Beret training was 2.5 years.
Yeah.
You said.
Pretty close to it with language
What's
school
that
and everything.
Like, what do you do? Take me through
The
that.
18 Delta course supposedly is the most academically challenging course in the entire U.S. military. The washout rate is ridiculous, man.
18 Deltas are badasses.
I think it's
All right,
graduation
in English,
time.
18 Deltas. Are we still talking about Green
Special
Berets
Forces.
here?
Medic. It's your billet within your special forces
Okay.
team.
All right, understood. So you're doing language school. I remember Chris Cathers talked about this. Like, he had to do a bunch of that as well. He was in special forces. What else are you doing in the training?
Well, I think in medical training I think the pass rate's like 4%, something like that. We started off at 230 and we end up with like 7 or 8 or something. I don't remember. It's some crazy number.
Wow.
And then you go to language school, and then you go to SEAR School again, which is the worst one. And it's the way, way worse one there. And then you get done with all that, and I went to Okinawa. I reported there in 99. 99. I was there till 02. And then I went from there to...
Can we pull Okinawa up on the map?
But that's right when we started doing the going off to Zamboanga to the Philippines, hunting down the Burnhams. Remember the Burnhams, the missionaries that were a man and a wife that were missing?
No. Oh, you were hunting?
Yeah, a whole bunch of people were hunting, but yeah.
What happened there? I know nothing about that.
We didn't find them. We found hints of where they had been there.
Who were they?
There were 2 American missionaries. I believe they were there we go. Yeah, they were American. I'm trying to remember exactly what religion they were, though.
What was their name? Burnham?
Burnham,
Burnham
Burnham
missionaries?
Naha is Okinawa.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. I just want to make sure we get this. We'll just read the quick Wikipedia overview and then let you tell the story of what you saw. All right, go to Wikipedia, Dos Palmas kidnappings. Does that look right?
Dos Palmas kidnappings?
It was a hostage crisis in southern Philippines that began with the seizing of 20 hostages from the affluent Dos Palmas resort on private island in Honda Bay, Palawan by members of Abu Sayyaf on May 27, 2001, resulted in the deaths of at least 5 of the original hostages. 3 of these hostages were American citizens, Guillermo Sobrero, and a married missionary couple, Gracia and Martin Burnham. Yeah. At least 22 Filipino soldiers were killed in attempts to apprehend the captors and the hostages in the 12 months following the initial hostage taking. An unknown number of captors were killed by government forces. So this is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So you were one of the guys sent in here to go try to find them.
And they were with those guys still running around, and they'd stop in places, and they kept them captive the entire time. But we were so close to them one time that we walked into a house, and there was like a dining room table or something, like an old fold-up table or something there, and somebody had written "burn them" with their finger in the dirt. And I was like, man, we got to be kind of close. But every time we'd find like we'd feel like we're pretty close to them, we'd call it in, and they'd pull us back.
Why?
I don't know exactly. But they call us back to Zamboanga, which is because this is an island we're on right here, and then we're at the corner on the Philippines over here, so we'd launch from there to go look for them. They're on this island somewhere.
When you say launch from it, you take a helicopter over, and how many guys are dropping in?
Helicopter, we'd take about 7 or 8 Filipinos, and there's like 2, maybe 3 Green Berets.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. So we're kind of running that part of the show, and we got to have their interaction too, because, they didn't want just Americans going over shooting anybody or grabbing anybody or doing anything. They want to make sure the Filipinos are involved.
Make sure they're shooting too. Yeah.
Kind of like if you go to Africa. You don't want to be just this one American guy over doing stuff. You better have some African Rangers running around there somewhere.
I got you. So this was in 01 though. So you went to Okinawa in like 99, you said? You're on that base jumping and fucking around for a year, and then you start doing missions like this?
Yep. It pretty much kicked off right. The part where it wasn't as much fun anymore was the World Trade Center, actually. But yeah, this is already gone.
We're gonna get there in a second. Where is Okinawa on this map?
Naha. You see Naha there? It is a hell of a place to skydive.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
There's nothing around.
And skydive and scuba dive.
What's on skydiving though? Like what? Because I've never done it, but like you're doing some of the high level military stuff, and you still train guys obviously to do this. But when you go to do these things, you're doing it around bases and stuff like that. But you want to do it from a plane over the ocean and then get towards land, or does it not matter?
Either one. Military. If it's my rig, I want to land on the land because I don't want to hit in that salt water.
Yeah.
But
military, I don't want a shark eating me.
Military, we jumped in the water all the time because there's an island right over there to the left of Okinawa. We jumped onto that island all the time too.
If you hit satellite,
it's like real small.
Give you more idea of.
Yeah, hit that. Perfect. Ooh, look at that. Wow.
If you zoom in on Naha.
Yep.
See right there.
Akini?
To your left. Kumajina. Was that what it was called?
Oh, Kumajina.
Yeah.
Wow.
Naha is a great city.
Mm-hmm.
Were you stationed there at one point, right?
That's my first duty station.
Yeah. Because then you were helping with the tsunamis eventually. You got called into that, right?
Beautiful island.
It's like the farmland of Japan.
Yeah,
farmers.
It's their version of Hawaii now too.
You were hunting pirates over there, right?
Yes.
Were you hunting pirates at all, or were you just base jumping?
No, I was just based out of there, and I flew all over Southeast Asia doing what we do.
Just based.
Right. Okay.
I didn't base jump in there. What anything high enough to jump off of?
Wow. Yeah, I've never been out anywhere over there, but some of these places look beautiful. I've watched obviously like a lot of the World War II history with stuff like this, and you're always amazed like when you look at the Pacific Campaign, World War II and color stuff, which is really incredible. But like you had this brutal war, like just people just getting massacred on all sides in this backdrop. That's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
It's so strange to watch, But now obviously it's peaceful.
Well,
so
if you look at the Naha right there, and then you look to the right where that ledge is right there, when you're out there diving, you swim up that ledge. It's deep. It's deep now.
And they say it's the I don't know what the first is. Well, it's got to be the Great Barrier Reef, which it's
closer to Guam or over there. Yeah.
But they say Okinawa is the second most beautiful waters in the world to dive in.
It looks like this when you're underwater.
It's clear. Wow, that's incredible. Now this is the base. I mean, we have a bunch of bases, so I shouldn't really say that.
We've got like 7 bases on Okinawa.
But these are the types of places where maybe we're monitoring the old boy in North Korea.
You might think that, since it's just down the road.
We've got Korea, so.
Oh, we do have bases on there, right?
Yeah. South Korea.
Okay, fair enough.
No, it's the third Marine Expeditionary Force is there, and then we've got a pretty badass Air Force base there, and then
Real bad one.
Kadena Air Base.
Kadena Air Base.
Yeah.
That's where I think I saw when they canceled the SR-71 Blackbird. I think there was like 12 there, and we said,
Oh, no way.
We watched all 12 of them because at the end of the runway, Highway 58, and here's the ocean. Here's Highway 58. The fence of the base ends right here, right beside you, and planes fly right over you.
Do you know what this plane is?
No.
The
Can we pull it up?
SR-71
There it
Blackbird is the most.
This thing?
It is.
Yeah.
Dude.
Nasty.
Fastest
How big
plane
is
ever
that?
made. They're big. There's one. If you go into Manhattan, they've got one on the was it the Constellation that they have? The
Yeah, it's on one of those-
aircraft carrier, the
yeah.
museum.
Oh, I never seen that.
I don't think it's.
It's the world's fastest jet at the time.
Yeah.
Highest altitude, fastest jet. It held all kinds of world records. It's mean. It is really, really. It held the record for New York City to Los Angeles.
What was can we Google the time? SR-71 Blackbird, New York City to Los Angeles time. Let's see what that was. 'Cause they'd be taking fucking 6 hours to do that on commercial.
It's quick.
All right, 67 minutes and 54 seconds.
Yeah, there you go.
So there's a really cool story about the Blackbird. There was a guy flying a Cessna. I want to say it's outside of LA somewhere. And he was calling in to get a speed check from Air Traffic Control, ATC. Give him a speed check at like 160 miles an hour. I don't know, something very low, maybe 130. Then some F-14 pilot who thinks he's cool does a speed check with ATC to big dick him. And then, it just so happens that the Blackbird pilots were flying, and then they called in right after the F-14 pilot gets called in at like 1,000 miles an hour. And they're like some ungodly speed, like 2,000 miles an hour. It's so cool.
Well, it's right there. It's 2,124.5 miles an hour.
It outruns missiles.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Flies in low altitude. Or low orbit.
What were the planes? Because we're gonna get to this
You
in
had
a
to fly,
second.
and you had to have a spacesuit too, by the way, to fly it.
Because you have an interesting story with this. But what were the like when we scrambled the jets on 9/11 and those 2 or 3 jets went into the sky? Was that these things? No,
No,
that was different.
Yeah, these were already put out of action by then.
Okay,
They were retired.
so they were doing this kind of speed in like the 80s.
Oh, the 60s, bro. The 60s.
The 60s.
60s.
Yeah.
God damn it,
Yeah.
DARPA, what do you have? I want to know.
The friggin' engine's the size of this rim. They linked this rim.
Oh,
It's got
yeah.
2 of them. But on 9/11, it's more like F-18s, F-15s.
Slow pieces of shit.
There's plenty fast still. You don't want one after you. Let's
Well,
just
they
say
just
that.
brought the F-15s are greatest fighter jet of all time, I think, right?
Overall.
Fast as hell.
No, I found this out when we were standing in the kitchen earlier. I didn't know this because, again, we're getting right up against it now. This chase of those missionaries was May 2001, so you're still over there or whatever.
Yeah.
But you were in New York on 9/11?
Yeah. Funny enough. Well, not funny at all, but
What were you doing here?
I was married and had a not even 1-year-old baby daughter yet. And we were going, my ex-wife was from Queens, New York, and she was a paramedic in the fire department there back in the day. And we were going to go back there and visit her family. So we flew from Okinawa, Space A, just like get a free flight. And we got there and we stayed at her aunt's house the night before. Got there on September 10th. And then got up the next morning, and I had worked there before doing my rotation was my 18 Delta stuff. I had to do medical stuff.
At the World Trade Center.
The World Trade Center was there, but it had been attempted to be bombed once before.
Yeah, 93.
So the restaurant upstairs was still not functioning, as far as I know. At least that's what she said. And so I knew a bunch of people in New York City and all that sort of stuff. So now we went back. We were going to visit all them. She wanted me to go to that restaurant with her first thing in the morning and have breakfast.
On 91st in the North Tower?
Yeah. So I was like, I've been in Twin Towers, but I've never been in that restaurant. So hopped on the subway, stepped off, everything's groovy. And all of a sudden I hear a bunch of commotion going on. And literally walking down the sidewalk, there's a window right here with a bunch of TVs in it, like they sell them. Everybody's gathered around, I looked down, I was like, what in the hell? But I could see the Twin Towers sitting down here, and I'm standing on the side where the first airplane hit it. So, which I think is the south side, I can't recall. Anyway, I see it stuck in there. I was like, what in the world? And I see the black smoke coming out. That's strange. Never crossed my mind that it was an attack of any kind.
Really? Even at the beginning?
I thought it was just some dude, did something stupid and ran into one. Maybe he's drunk from the night before. I don't know. Nobody flies over there. Everybody knows not to. And so I'm like, well, crud. So we're like, okay, well, damn, we're already down here. We'll do something. So she knew everybody since she worked there in that area. So we walked over to this ambulance, and the guy driving was a National Guard Huey pilot, helicopter. So we started shooting breeze at him. Said, what are you guys going to do? And he goes, well, I said, we're both paramedics. You want us to run down there and help you out? Her aunt's right here with my daughter. She's going to take her home. I said, we can go down there and help you guys if you want some help, and all this other stuff. And I said, I'm getting paid hazardous duty pay to be doing stuff that I do. So, no big deal that way, lawsuit-wise or any of that kind of junk. He's like, no, there's a bunch of glass falling, stuff like that. We're just going to wait for a little bit first. Okay. He says, no big deal right this second. Well, not threatening right this minute. All right. As we're sitting there, I don't know how many minutes this is, but it ain't many. I've never really kept track of exactly. But I hear another plane coming, and it sounds strange because it's obviously a big jet, and it's like you're flying, you're like revving it up and letting off, revving it up and letting off, like going up and down or something.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, what is that noise? And I hear it a ways off, and all of a sudden it comes in distance. I mean, this thing's low to the ground now. It's for a jet that big. And I'm like, what in the crap?
You saw it?
Yeah, it's flying right here. And right over there, because I think we're standing on Avenue of the Americas at the time, I believe. And I'm looking right over there, and it's flying right over that way.
So how far you think you are from it?
I don't know, 500 yards, maybe. From its path, possibly, I think, if I was to guess.
From the building?
Oh, from the building now. I was
probably...
I was pretty good ways from the building.
Yeah, because you're up on Avenue of the Americas.
Yeah, I believe so. So I could see the building, but I don't know. I was probably 1,000 yards away from that. Well, 800 yards maybe. I don't know. There's a good ways. Safe distance, that's for sure. So this thing goes by. Even the guy in the front seat here is going, oh, crap, man.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I thought about that wrong. Go ahead. Yeah,
okay.
That makes sense. Yeah. And
he's a pilot, I said, dude, what in the world? Because you got all this time to think about it. It's barely even moving. So it goes, and I see him turn. He got a swing. Looked like he swung out first, and he comes back like it's not. And I'm like, is he gonna try to fly that between those buildings? Like, what kind of psycho crap we got going on? Then he levels off, and it's obvious what's about to happen now. And you can see the wing sticking out of it all the way. Just it goes through, and you see the nose of it come out the other end of the building.
Second one hit like a blade.
Hard, and the engine shoots out, which I didn't know at the time of what it was. Obviously, I'm repeating some of this because I know the news too. But that's what I saw. Is something shot out and went into this building over here, and it was a hotel, which ended up burning down while we're down there. Yep. And I said, get my daughter, get gone. I don't know what's going on, but it's bad. Get going right this second.
Now at this point, once it hits her, you're like terrorist.
Yeah. Because as soon as he's doing this crap, and I see it, as soon as it touches that building, I'm already going to get her. Go. Get out of here. And so I hung around, and she hung around. And I said, well, let's volunteer. Let's do our thing. And they knew her, and they knew my background. And
so you're special forces. Your wife is a nurse.
Well, she's a paramedic with the fire department at the time. Yeah. But when I met her before that. So she knows all these people.
Yeah.
So we're perfect for the job. So they call up somebody, and they say, bring them down. And we go down to a collection area. And they said, okay, here's your tasks. Here's kind of put us in little groups, and here you guys go this way. And it took a little while to go down there, though. It took a few minutes. And then we get down there and start doing what we can, trying to organize to help people do whatever, It's, a big cloud of dust and stuff's on fire. And
wait, when you first go down there, had the buildings fallen yet?
No.
Okay, so you're there when it's...
Yeah. Okay. And so we're down there doing what we do, not doing very much productive, really. And I looked up, and now this building's burning good, real good for the second building. Which was that building too? Second building? I can't remember.
Well, the second building, the South Tower got hit second, but it fell first.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like 846, Tower 1, North Tower gets hit, 903, South Tower gets hit, 9:58. South Tower goes down 102 minutes after 8:46, whatever that was.
Okay.
North Tower goes down.
Okay, I'm glad you have that memorized. I don't have that memorized at all. Seems a lot quicker to me for some reason.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
But we're standing on the ground, and the fire's getting bigger, 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 bigger. And so my ex-wife had her go to the other building, and I stayed at this building. So let's don't be at the same buildings. Let's go somewhere else. Just be smart about it. In case something happens, we're not standing in the same spot. And that was actually a fireman's idea.
Where's your daughter at this point?
She's with her aunt gone.
Okay, all right.
They're back
Totally
in Queens now. And so I'm sitting there watching all this stuff's happening. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, oh, man. So I was like, you know what? I went to this fire chief right here, and I said, you know what? If we took two 93-foot rappel ropes, attached them together, 186 feet long total, put them on the bottom of a Huey, give me about several rolls of 120-foot rope. I make me some Swiss seats, tie me on the bottom of one of those, swing it over there, let me get off. I tie a bunch of Swiss seats on people, start clapping them on here, pick them up, put them on that building over there. And we just go back and forth, do this a whole bunch of times. And they're like, because the rope was long enough to where the helicopter would be above the building and still be able to reach the thing. And the flames weren't kicking real heavy yet. I mean, you could tell they're going
But they said they couldn't get the helicopters anywhere near it because of the heat coming off the building.
But
you didn't know that at the time.
But it wasn't hot enough at the time, I don't think. I mean, this is just at the very beginning of all this shit.
So you wanted to repel people.
Just tie them on a rope, put them over here. Now, would it work? Seemed like it would.
The fire marshal's like, sir, this is Wendy's.
Well,
what the fuck?
They sent it up to a bunch of other people and talked about it and this and that. And I said, that's what I get paid to do.
Oh,
that's
my God.
And,
can you imagine?
And they said, no, we can't do that. That's just crazy, blah, blah. Well, then, of course, it really turns ugly. And which, who knows? Maybe it was too hot and it couldn't do it. Didn't look like it, but, heat's heat. Who knows?
Were you watching the people jumping?
That's what started happening next. And then, first guy I saw was flying like a V, kind of just like he didn't want to look at it. You know what I mean? He just jumped out, and I'm like, well, shoot. And he hit a stop sign. Oh. And I just started bawling. I was like, wow. And so here they go. And then all of a sudden, as time goes along, what are you going to do about it? I read that a priest was giving last rites to somebody, and somebody fell on him.
Yeah, it was Michael, what they named that street after him. Can you Google the first death of 9/11? Priest Michael something, Father Michael Judge, that's it.
Okay.
He was, I'm sure.
I didn't see that happen. I just heard about it.
Yeah, Michael Judge, there it is.
Later.
So, there's an image of him being carried out. I don't know if we can show it because it's a dead body, but he's being carried out of the base of the tower, and he was dead because I think that's what it was. Someone fell on him or something like that. Some shrapnel fell on him.
That's what I heard.
So someone, there it is. Don't show it on screen, but even someone as hardened to combat situations and seeing what you saw, that had that kind of effect on you to see this.
It was the worst thing I'd ever seen. Yeah, easily. Yeah. To this date, still the worst. Whew. And then all shit started going sideways. Then the creaking started making weird noises. Then the hotel started dropping windows off of it. And they're just flying through the air doing this.
What do you mean dropping windows?
Like they're just popping off. Boop. Like there's solid glass. And they just started floating through the air like this. And you don't want to get hit with one of those. I don't know how big they are, 12 by 14 feet or something. So everybody's jumping under fire trucks and stuff so they wouldn't hit you. And air horns are going off right and left. And then this thing starts creaking, making all kinds of crazy noises. And somebody runs out there, whoever, a cop or somebody's like hitting the horn, like, run, everybody go. And everybody just took off. And then that thing, as we're making the corner around that thing, you could hear that thing coming.
The first
down.
one?
Yeah. And it's coming down.
What does that sound like?
Excruciatingly loud. Because it's just the metal. I guess it's just such big chunks of metal and glass coming. You couldn't hear yourself think. And the goal was as you're running, is just to find a corner between those buildings, get away from it. And everybody's running away. And people are being, they're desperate. They're knocking people down, stepping on people, all kinds of stuff.
Do you think you were going to die?
Yeah, I thought that was going to do it right there. the dust, because the dust cloud overtook us, and all this stuff. And you don't know where that thing's at. Is it right here? I wasn't standing right next to it, obviously, but it was terrifying. And so we went away. Then we're kind of hanging out. Second one went. We just stayed out of the zone entirely. We're like way over here.
So you're like, where are you? Are you in a building? Do you take cover in a building?
We just went we made a left and just went blocks. Just ran
Just
and
keep
ran and
going
ran.
far away.
Yeah, till you weren't in it, and you could hear like rocks hitting cars and setting off car alarms and all this kind of crap. and then the second one fell at some point, and they're like, "Well, ain't nobody going down there today." And so I came back the next day. It's still cloudy as crap, dirt cloud. But I knew some people, and I knew where to go. So a police car picked us up and drove us down now there's a big crowd of people all the way down the side of the roads. They drove us down there, and then we got our crap together and went back out and started searching.
Are you in? You may have said this at the very beginning of this, but are you off from the military at this time? Like you're in the military, but you're
Just on leave.
You're on leave.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't orders coming in like that night. Like, yo, be ready.
Well, they were in there pretty quick because I went through the second day. Oh no, I went through the first day, and I got back that night, and I was covered with dirt and stuff on the subway, and so was everybody. Everybody's covered with dirt, and I got back and I called back to Okinawa because they knew I was in New York City. And I called back and I said, "Hey, I'm alive and everything's good, blah, blah." They're like, "Okay, what's your plan?" And I said, "I'm going to go back in the morning, do some stuff." And he goes, "Okay, do your thing tomorrow, but then get your ass on a plane because we're going somewhere."
Now, when you go back that next day, though, right, and you said you knew some people.
Yeah.
So were you one of the first responders, looking for people who were alive in there, pretty much?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole bunch of people left, sadly, because so many people had died from the first try of all that stuff happening, and then we kind of in the beginning we're kind of didn't know where to go or what to do really, because we're just kind of like, man, it's so massive that you just kind of just go around finding holes and looking under things, and then of course at that time we didn't have helmets or anything like that. Then FEMA came along and said, quit climbing and stuff without a helmet, safety gear. So they told us not to. So we went around and found a Verizon truck and stole all the helmets off of that and just did it anyway. So we ended up down in the mall.
Oh, you went down in there?
Yeah, and because you could get down there. And I believe...
What did you see when you got down there?
Man, it looked like once you got down there a ways, you got off track a little ways. A lot of it was still intact. It's still there. There's like a dude's coffee sitting on top of a jewelry store cabinet. Whoa. Believe it or not, I don't even know how that's possible. And then I believe while that was happening, I believe Building 47 fell at some point while we're down there because you could hear the beams bending and all.
Building
that kind of
7?
7 or 47? 47?
It's 7.
Okay, yeah. 7. And tells you how often I think about this. Never. Yeah. But it had those gigantic monster I-beams. It just bent those things over in there. And didn't get us, though. And we came out, and I told one of the cops on the surface, I said, "Hey, man, there's a jewelry store down here that's just got loads of expensive jewelry." And I had like a pillowcase looking thing, maybe, or something. It was just kind of something laying around. And we grabbed a whole bunch of jewelry and threw it in that pillowcase. But we're talking high-end, like Rolexes and all this. And threw as much as I could carry in that thing. And I went up there to the top and said, "Here's this. Here's the name of the store." I don't remember the name. Same one that had the coffee sitting on it, though. And gave it to him, and I said, "This jewelry store's down there, man. If people start strolling around doing stupid crap, you need to get down there and empty that out."
Because is he even to get down there?
Good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy that some of that stuff
us
survives, and then there's 20 people that survived.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's very sad.
It was pathetic. And I don't think a whole lot of that stuff was going on because there's too many people watching everything. At the moment, at that time, there wasn't. Because I think if you got caught doing something, somebody would stomp you to death.
Yeah.
When obviously, you're going there, you're trying to help, you're going into help mode because that's kind of what your life is. You're trained to be in situations like this. But, at any point in that 36 hours, say, from when Building 2 gets hit to the end of the day on September 12th when you've been down there helping out with all this, did you ever have a moment where you started to think about what this was, who did this, and let's go kill some motherfuckers?
Oh, yeah. When I came back the second day and I made the corner where I was going down the alley, like you turn. I was like 1 block away, and I turned the corner to look down the alley to where the World Trade Center's complex would have been. I turned there and walked a ways, and I could see that antenna sticking up out of the ground from off the top of the building. And a part of a wall is over here. A corner of the wall was still standing up over here, the outside wall. And of course, teared up heavily, and just immediately got pissed off. And then we just started searching again. But man, oh man, my emotions were shot out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just wrecked. And that's when we did all this stuff, and then we ended it at the end of that day. And I was sitting around with those other firefighters and contractors and all this other stuff. There's like 8 of us that made a little team together to do our little search. Building contractor, a couple firemen, a couple cops. One of them was so excuse me. Sorry.
You're good.
Supreme Court Justice bailiff was New York City police officer was with me. A guy named Joseph Reiki, and he wrote a letter to the Pentagon for me and all this other stuff for saying I did a good job and helped and all this stuff, and which is nice of him because I didn't give a crap about a medal or anything like that. And we got done. And I was like, okay, y'all did y'all's part. I'm gonna do mine, and I did.
So when did you leave to head back to Okinawa? The 13th?
Yeah, the next morning.
Whoa.
Cost expensive ticket too, but because nobody was flying, so we had to go. We had to go a ways off to get an aircraft. I can't remember where we flew out of. I can't recall. We had to drive like 200 miles to fly.
Whoa. I'm just
I
picturing
honestly can't
you.
remember where it was. I got the ticket at home though. I can't think of it right this minute.
I'm picturing you on that long ass flight now, finally sitting down after a couple days.
Oh,
Thinking about going there.
yeah.
Now, prior to 9/11, how much intel had you been around, missions, everything put together, whatever it is, involving targeting Al Qaeda?
Psst. Gosh, hardly any.
Yeah.
I mean, almost none. Probably.
So you didn't know a ton about them necessarily before that happened.
Because we hadn't even invaded Afghanistan or Iraq at that point,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
No, I didn't know crap. Really, I mean, my biggest deal with Muslim of any kind was Kosovo. I mean, that's probably the biggest part. That and Abu Sayyaf, they got their whole thing going over there.
Now, you had said, let's circle back to that for a minute. You had said that you went to Bosnia in like 01, so that's before 9/11. You were there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Kosovo also in 01?
After 9/11.
After 9/11?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so let's stay where we are then.
Okay.
So you go to Okinawa. In your head, you're thinking vengeance, whatever this is, whoever did this, we're going to go find him, we're going to kill him.
So we get back to Okinawa. I go to my team. They gather everybody up. We all meet in the war room. I tell them what I saw just to get everybody stirred up to let them know exactly what it really looked like. Told them some of the stuff I just told y'all, generally.
What was their reaction to that, hearing it from one of their guys on the ground?
Oh, they were already burning, burning. And so once I got it, told them a bunch of stuff, and this, that, and that. I mean, they're in there pounding on the table and all kinds of stuff. Like, let's get this party started, right now. And we did a whole bunch of planning. I mean, a lot of planning, really, really fast planning, too. And we weren't the ones picked. So first group wasn't picked. Fifth group was. And third group at some point there, too, obviously.
How do you plan without being picked? I'm just curious. Like, what does that even look like?
Well, it's like, for instance, if you're going to do like a halo jump in Iraq, not a whole bunch of them happen. So you tell all the halo teams to plan how you would take down this particular airfield, whichever one it was. I was trying to think of one not to use, but take down this particular airfield. How would you do it? And everybody comes up with a specific plan down to the gnat's ass on how you would do it. Then you brief that back to the commander, and whichever one suits his end state, depending on the experience of the team, blah, 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 all these things. He takes it all in, and that's who gets to do it. So part of the reason that fifth group might have been picked, besides, I mean, they're skilled, no question. I mean, they're all skilled, was because that's their area of operations, and they know their way around it way better. You know what I mean? First group, I never operated right there where they're standing, so.
How big is first group? Like, how many people are in that?
Well, all all special forces back then were 3 battalions. So figure 12-man team, 6 times per company, ABC.
Okay.
So that's 36 times 3. That's all the teams generally. And then you have all the office jobs and everything else, which adds probably another 100.
Got it.
That's about it.
Okay. So you guys didn't get picked, though?
No, we didn't get picked for it. As a unit, we did not get picked. So, not for the initial invasion. So then
When was the initial invasion, like September 16th-ish, something like that?
Oh, it's quick.
It's
yeah.
early,
Yeah,
right?
it's fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the rest of the teams are just, the ones that are just falling in after that, you know what I mean? All generally done the same kind of stuff. Then I came up on orders to leave Okinawa to go to 10th Group at Fort Carson, Colorado for February 02. Yep, 02. So literally months later. But I was already knew I was going to. So, I mean, that wasn't a surprise. I'd done my time. And then I went from there back to Fort Carson, Colorado. And then that's when I went to Kosovo.
Are there...
First time, I think.
Are there things that hypothetically may have happened between 9/11 and going to Kosovo that you can't talk about on camera?
Very, very good chance. Yeah. That I might have been involved in directly, too. But nothing specific whatsoever or anything else.
We're going to leave that one there, people. You're just going to deal with that. All right, so I did want to circle back to this because Al-Qaeda is going to be a theme here, and the Middle East is going to be a theme. But like within this, you said you go to Kosovo in 02. This is 3 years after the genocide and after the NATO bombs and everything. So what's going on at that point?
It's more of a show of force, and still we did what's called a Serbian trace. That dog. See what happens when you get old? Serbian trace. So, obviously Kosovo's on the border of Serbia.
Kosovo was Albanians. Albanians were being genocided by Milosevic's Serbia at the time. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was a big argument amongst a whole bunch of people about which side we picked, Serbia or Kosovo. That's been an argument since time began of who did we pick the right one and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So that's an argument for the politicians.
Why is that an argument, you think?
Because once a lot of the arguments, since I'm not a politician, were that we took Kosovo's side, ran all the Serbians off, then the Kosovarians took over all the Serbians' businesses and factories and all that stuff,
right?
And they failed immediately, like instantaneously, and they didn't stick up to their part of the bargain as far as like some things that were supposed to be followed through, which I don't know all the details on that stuff. That's their lane.
Because all the Albanians came to New York and they were on the nightlife.
There you go.
We got all the talent.
There you go. See, they all packed their crap. And the Serbians are just a whole lot easier to deal with as far as my task went. And to give you an idea, we did what's called that Serbian trace, which means we just hop on these trails through the mountains in a couple Humvees. Or we lived with the Russians, or they lived with us. Russians lived with us at the same time. We'd take one of their BTR armored vehicles, or we'd take a couple Humvees or whatever else. And there's these really gnarly roads, man. I mean, if you like to off-road, this is the ticket. But it's sketch. And you mess it up, and you're taking a 400 or 500 foot ride down, And if you're a gunner, you're really out. So I wouldn't even let the gunner stick out the top of the thing, Just like, no, don't be sitting up there because you can't get down quick enough, bro. Because if you go, you're turning upside down off. Yeah. So we go do the Serbian trace, and we ride around, show of force. Here's Americans out here, got our flag flying, stop off at farms. Everybody's nice and everything's good, no problem. Stop off at a whole bunch of old mills and stuff. It's really cool to look at. I got some pottery from some of them, just really, really old stuff.
And at this point, the Serbians are pretty much ejected from the country. Kosovo's forming. I think it took 9 years before they were officially declared a country in 08, but they're forming into a country of Albanians.
And Serbians are where they're supposed to be. Albanians are where they're supposed to be. Everything's groovy. Well, they got their defense forces on their side of the border, and Albania's got their side going on. And so one day we're riding around, and we pull up to it's obvious. You pull up to the Serbian border, there's a great big sign that says Serbia, do not enter. It's like right there. So we pull up there, and there's like a big hilltop going upside. We pull up there, and it's a beautiful day. You know, we do this in snow and stuff a lot of times, and this day it's really nice. And we pull up there, and we're sitting there eating chow in front of the Humvee, or pulling chow out to eat, and all of a sudden somebody looks over and goes, "Is that a machine gun nest on the side of the mountain?" And it's a ways off. And I look up there, and I was like, "Holy crap!" So I picked up Beret, and I was 50 caliber sniper rifle, and I looked through my scope on the hood, like I said, "Holy shit!" There's like 4 dudes sitting, or 5 dudes sitting up there, and they're looking at us, and I'm looking at them, and I was like, I held up 50, and I was like this. Don't mess around, you know. You'll get something. And they all start laughing and dancing around, giving each other high fives. And they reach down and they spread out real wide and they hold up a 20 millimeter, this big. And they're like, "For you." I was like, "No, I'm good. I don't need that. I do not need that." And they start laughing their butts off again. And I put the Beret in the back. I was like, "Let's put that back there. We don't want that thing right." And it's mounted. You know, that thing's mounted too on a tripod. You know, I don't need that. And all of a sudden, here they come down the hill. I was like, "What in the world?" And they got the rifle slung and everything. And we're all like, "All right, don't point at anybody or anything, but, you know, just keep your stuff ready just in case." I don't know what their plan is. And start looking around, make sure this ain't something else, you know, like we're about to get wiped out by a bunch bigger crew. They come all the way down there and this, that, and the other. And our interpreter, he speaks whatever language you need pretty much. I mean, he speaks Russian, speaks everything. And they come walking down there and this guy's like, "So you are American?" I was like, "Oh, crap, okay. Speak English too, shit." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, we're this and that, blah, blah, blah. I hate to ask, but do you guys have any food?" I was like, "Yeah, we do." And he's like, "We've been up there for like 30 days, man. We're freezing to death. We ain't got any water. We ain't got any food." And I was like, "Lay your weapons right there on that border, you know, right there on the grass, and just don't look at them again, and we're set." And he's like, "Okay." Set, go back here, start handing out MREs. Before you know, we're all sitting on top of Humvees exchanging emails.
Wow.
And just shooting the breeze. And
That's diplomacy right there, man.
That's what we need. More of this, less politicians.
Yeah, I agree.
So I said, "Okay, all these Humvees, every MRE box in here, just take it with you. That's it. See all these 5-gallon water jugs, you know, take all that crap with you too, dude. Just take all the food and water." Wow. And they just run off like, "Hey, thanks, man." Doing selfies and stuff. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
So you're not seeing, you're after the war. You're not really like seeing a ton of action there.
I mean, we're talking 02.
It's more like peacekeeping, make sure.
Yeah.
Got it.
Just kind of letting people know we are here and y'all are over there, you know.
Got it.
So I didn't get the initial invasion of that, and I didn't just do any of the SEAR, you know, the crashed F-117.
No, I don't know anything about
Yeah,
that.
stealth fighter crashed in Kosovo.
Can we pull that up, Alessi? Stealth fighter crashes in Kosovo?
I think it was Kosovo.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of guys went and hunted for it. And
yeah, I remember the day.
The F-117, 25 years ago today. So this is 99. All right, yeah, click that. 1999 F-117A shoot down on March 27, 1999, during the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia. A Yugoslav army unit, the 3rd Battalion of the 250th Air Defense Missile Brigade, which was under the leadership of Colonel Zoltan Dani, shot down an F-117 Nighthawk stealth aircraft of the United States Air Force by firing an S-125 Neva Pechora surface-to-air missile. It was the first ever shoot-down of a stealth technology airplane. The pilot ejected safe. Oh, he got out. And was rescued by U.S. Air Force pararescuemen conducting search and rescue. The F-117, which entered service with the U.S. Air Force in 1983, was cutting-edge equipment and the first operational aircraft to be designed using stealth technology. By comparison, the Yugoslav air defenses were considered relatively obsolete. So basically, they were able to shoot this down, and then we were worried that like they had it in their possession so they could study it for proprietary info.
Give it to the Chinese or Russians. Right. But I remember the pilot, I think, was up in a tree, climbed a tree or something for like a day or or a couple days just to get some concealment.
Then I believe they blew it in place, if I recall.
So you weren't. You're saying you weren't hunting that. You weren't on that. Okay.
No, I missed that one.
Yeah, this is way before. This is 99. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said you went to Bosnia too in 02?
Yeah, 02.
Now, what was it like?
I did Kosovo, Bosnia, and Kosovo again. And I think I did a third one. I did a Kosovo. Oh, you know what? I did a third one after the initial invasion of Iraq. Then I did a third one after that, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went 2 times to Kosovo, 1 time Bosnia in '02.
Bosnia, can you pull up the 92 to 95
believe.
Bosnia genocide, Alessi? So Bosnia had this, in the wake of the wall falling and Yugoslavia breaking up, had this horrible genocide, and Kosovo did as well in 1999. But, you know, so many people were killed. Here it is. The Bosnian genocide refers to either the Srebrenica massacre or the wider crimes against humanity and ethnic cleansing campaign throughout areas controlled by Army of Republika. I'm not going to say it. Aaron, you want to pronounce that one? Srpska? SRPSKA? Right there. Srpska? Is that
Srpska.
Srpska? Okay.
Sounded
During the Bosnian War of 1992 to 1995, the events in Srebrenica in 1995 include the killing of more than 8,000 Bosnian Muslim men and boys, as well as the mass expulsion of another 25,000 to 30,000, therefore ethnically cleansing Bosniak civilians by VRS units under the command of General Ratko Mladic. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong guy, but I think he was later found guilty at The Hague. Right? Is that the guy who killed himself? Like drank the... No, that was a crow.
No.
Never mind.
Yeah,
but I think that guy was found guilty. So this thing, again, happens like less than 50 years after the Holocaust. And then I don't know much about the history after that, though. So when you go there 7 years later, are there still serious tensions among some of these groups, or is it more
Well, probably
peace?
amongst the groups. You didn't really see it where we were as much. I don't know if it was on the outskirts of all this stuff that they were dealing with each other more or less here and there, but there was still tension. But I don't feel like I ever even got close to getting in an engagement of any kind, honestly. I mean, it felt like it's more of that peace.
Got it.
Showing force, just doing what you do, helping out the populace, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Now, this is a tension-filled year, though. '02 is, we're fresh off 9/11. We're actively in Afghanistan, which I do want to talk about some of the paramilitary stuff there. But we're also, March 2003 ended up being Iraq, which obviously we're going to talk a lot about. But, you know, you're this highly trained military killer, right? Like your job is to go in there and kill bad guys. Going into places that used to be hot zones that right now are not hot zones and not a part of the active campaign of like, let's eradicate radical terrorism.
Yeah.
And there's a whole war going on in Afghanistan, and you literally were there on 9/11. Like, was there a part of you like, what the fuck am I doing here? Can you put me in the game, please?
Well, yeah, that did cross my mind, but I knew it was going to be that way from the get-go just because of the way everything's configured. I knew everybody would be in the mix at some point, but it's just like any military unit. Everything gets fed in because there's also a follow-on plan. So they put the guys that they think know the terrain best, blah, 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 like I was saying. But they've also got a follow-on plan for all these other units, and they've got it all scheduled out to where each one's going to get to a certain place at a certain time and all that. You know, that way you have your units dispersed properly across all fields of battle, and so you don't get overwhelmed too, but also be highly effective. Like the first time I went to Kosovo, I didn't feel like I did much of anything. I just felt like I just did that kind of stuff. Lived in a house with a bunch of Russians, did the Serbian trace, we did win the hearts and minds because we played with little kids. We had chain link fence. There's a house we had in town, but we had chain link fence around it. All the little kids from neighborhoods would come running down. Their parents would bring them down there to stay with us. And we'd play soccer with them and all this other stuff. Because the dogs were real bad about getting them, and you know, people were beating them up and stuff sometimes. So they'd stay with us, and we'd play with them, let them watch TV and all that, and then their parents would show back up at some point and escort them home. So we're winning hearts and minds that way. Did medical treatment to a whole bunch of, which we always do. Every country we ever go to, we try to help out medically because we have the resources and the equipment and stuff. But the second time I went to Kosovo, I was on a recon team, surveillance team, blah, blah. And then we were actively hunting people.
Oh,
So it was a whole different matter.
Let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
what went on there?
The one guy, now, what I call this guy a huge terrorist, because he seemed like a terrorist until I went to Iraq and all this other stuff, and all of a sudden you're like, nope, that's what a terrorist looks
Diet
like.
terrorist.
Yeah,
if you
this
will.
over here is this is the Goodwill clothing store terrorist over here. And he'd fired RPGs at Camp Bondsteel, which is in Kosovo, which is American base. and not when I was there. He fired them at some point. And so we
Wouldn't
set up-
happen on your watch. It wouldn't have done it to you.
I live downtown, so you can fire on that military base over there. We'll probably know about it, bro. So you don't want that. And so we're actively hunting these guys down. We knew kind of who they were, blah blah blah. So we started hunting them down, started pulling surveillance on them, and we ended up deciding to do this pretty cool takedown in a restaurant. So we had two guys that were. They'd somehow got to know him. They played like they were somebody else. I don't remember who they played like they were. They're white guys. So they could fit in, anywhere over there. They spoke the languages and stuff. And they said, meet us at this restaurant. And they'd met them there like 4 or 5 different occasions. Gave them some money, this and that and there. Until the guy that we wanted showed up. Him and the other guy. We mainly wanted this one dude. And he had been shot at some point through I think somebody shot him in the big toe, believe it or not. I'm not even kidding you.
Go.
And he had a serious injury to his big toe. That's all I know. And I'll tell you why it's funny in a minute. Besides just that. So he has them meet him at the restaurant. And as he did that, we're in there already. We're set up and we picked a time of day where it's very, populated. So here's crew over here, crew over here, crew over here. So our guys are talking to him, and to distract him at this given point, the key is to, when it's time, like our guy goes, he's a special forces operator, obviously. He said, when you've got him and I've got him where you need to be, I'm going to lay my hat on the table and you guys do what you do. I'm just going to scoot away from the table as things go. Well, while the bad guy's talking to him, he's like, well, don't do me wrong, man. I'm armed, and I'll freaking do you right here. And he's making all these threats and shit, and we're like, all right.
That's cute.
Okay, threats are fun, because that means I do whatever I want to now, and without hurting any, civilians. So we said, no firearms. We have them, but we're not going to shoot anybody. We're just, just go over and break him. And so we're backed up, and all of a sudden my boy's like, okay, and he hands him, here's your free camera. He hands him this pretty fancy camera and all this other stuff, and he gives him some batteries and stuff, so he has to screw with it. And he's looking down like this, and my boy sets his hat down. And I jump out of this freaking, no, we all jump out. It's a race. So see who can get there first. Jump out, jump on that table, and I just kick that dude right in the chest. Boom! And he flips backwards in his chair. I think he had a leg injury of some type too. I can't remember. He had something wrong with his leg too.
Poor guy.
And that was a gunshot wound, something else with his toe. I don't remember what, but it's messed up.
You just pulled landscaping.
So there you go. Poor landscaping, man. Rebar. And so anyway, he flips back. We pile on top of him, grab up everybody and wrestle him down and pick him up, put him up against the wall. And I'm leaning on him real hard. And we're searching on him and all this stuff. And this dude is squalling because I'm leaning right on that freaking leg. I wasn't even doing it on purpose. But we're searching, we're squeezing it, and all this. And he ain't liking that.
What are the people doing in the restaurant?
They just kind of backed up. Like,
They're used to this kind of stuff. I guess.
Yeah, how it is.
Eat this another day.
I don't care. It's like in a village in Iraq,
again.
They're just kind of like, take him. He's trouble. I don't like him. And so rolled this dude up, got him, a couple other dudes, grab him up, throw him in the back of the damn, what do we call those? Pajero. The back of a Pajero 4-door SUV. Throw him back there. I'm sitting with my sideways to the back hatch, and he's sitting this way between two SF dudes. And all of a sudden, he's going to be cool as shit all of a sudden. I don't know what his status was, but I hold a man forward like this, and he's like, so, you like that he's called it M16. You like that M16? Mm-hmm. A lot. He's like, okay. You use it? I was like, here's how you take it off safe. He's like, okay, thank you. I was like, click, there you go, shut up. And so we took him on Camp Bondsteel, went to the isolation facility, and I'm anxious to get rid of this dude. Oh, here's the other thing. The car is starting to stink bad.
Oh, he took a shit?
Like somebody pooed. And in this case, not pooed, but something, whatever, way past that is. And
what do you mean way past that?
Like volume-wise, a poo is something a baby does. Whatever this guy did is something like, I don't know, something over in Africa does. And make it solid liquid.
Don't blame Africa here, okay? It's unnecessary.
And so we get him up there, we load him up, get him up there at the counter, and this female comes out, Army girl, and she says, I said, here you go. Here's the guy, here's his picture, here's all his stuff, here's the paperwork, here's that. He's yours. You take him with you.
Now, was this
And
at this point like a black site?
No.
It's take them to a good spot.
No, the black sites are elsewhere. But
I mean, we had those things around Europe too.
well, they don't require any paperwork though. That's the cool thing about those guys. This right here, this is like to make somebody look good in their government, like he's taking action. That's really what it comes down to. So we drop him off, and as the female's like, okay, we got him and this and we got him zip tied and stuff. And I said, we can cut his zip ties wherever you want to do. I mean, whatever suits you. And she's like, oh my God, did he shit himself? I was like, I don't know.
It's your problem now.
I'll sign this paper as fast as I can too. I'm like, I don't know. I don't
I don't want to touch him. I don't want to see him.
No, and I just turned around and walked out the door real
I want
quick.
to smell him.
And so it's like 4 days later, I've already forgotten about the dude. I'm in the chow hall, and here comes that female walking back up with a couple of the dudes that worked there. They're like, dude. We stripped that dude down, had to hit him with a water hose, and it was grueling. Stopped up the drain, did all this other stuff. I was like, and the thing was, I was wondering why he's walking all weird. And of course, this bullet wound in his leg's infected. And but he's got a potato stuck on his big toe.
A potato?
A potato. I don't know what for. She goes, we get back and he's got this big house shoe on with a potato stuck on it because he'd done something to his toe.
Ingenuity.
And it's super duper infected. So
hell if I know.
They put a potato on it.
I got nothing.
Maybe he just wanted to make sure the front of his shoe was filled the whole way. I don't know.
But it was ridiculous. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, but we'll be bringing some more of them over here. So
when you were hunting some of these guys though in Kosovo, is this some stuff where you're doing it plainclothes too?
Oh, that was all plainclothes.
All of it. Yeah.
Till the takedown.
It's like I'm picturing you in a restaurant. I feel like you're not in berets, like, you know, camoed up or anything.
No, and that's
you're like, no entree for you, motherfucker. Desserts on the road.
Well, number two, Americans don't look like Albanians.
Yeah, no.
I mean, some are a little lighter. Some of them are darker skin, obviously, but they also have lighter skin. But our features just don't fit at all. Like even in Iraq, we used to dye our hair and tan our skin up, you know, with wipe on stuff and this that. It works for 500 yards.
Yeah.
But you get up close, it don't.
It don't work anymore.
It don't work at all. I mean, period. So it doesn't work. But it works for what you're doing it for. It keeps you a sniper from shooting you from a distance when you're doing something, you know, in a village or something. But same thing with that. I mean, it was kind of crazy, but that was supposed to be the scary guy. And then I get, you know, later a
shit himself.
couple years later, I'm like, he ain't scared.
Yeah.
That's the guy who changes the diaper on the scary guy.
Yeah.
His kid, you know what I mean? Something like that. And he's like, damn.
Did you, when you were in Bosnia, Kosovo, anything like that, did you lose any guys during this or clean?
No injuries, no.
That's great.
I don't even remember. I can't remember anybody shooting anybody at all, as a matter of fact, or anything. I mean,
clean job.
It's just I think the threat was gone. I don't think anybody really had the facility to come do it. You know what I mean? And by then, there's so many American soldiers running around, or special ops guys running all over the Dadburn place. We had all these different houses all over all the cities, and then you had the Polish there, and you had French. You know, not that matters.
I've heard some. Wait, are you talking French Army or Intel?
Army.
Oh, okay, all right, never mind. I was gonna say I've heard some of their intel is pretty fucking good.
Yeah. Well, only to say the regular dudes. I'm just making a joke, but they abandoned us on an objective one time and just kind of drove off.
Wait, what happened there?
The Albanians are pissed off and they're going around burning all the Christian churches.
Oh.
For some reason, there's this gigantic riot, and they're just running around, pulling up stop signs, hitting people, killing people with it. And so he called special forces teams out and said, go to this church, you go to that church, you go to this church, because they're still, you know, they're Serbian churches and they're Christian churches. They don't need to go burn them down just for the hell of it. You know how they do. And we got this little white, funny little cute country church, you know, went over, pulled up there. There's like 40 French guys standing there all around it. These guys are about, I don't know, 500 yards down the road coming. And the French are like, and there's like 8 of us, 8 or 9, 2 Humvees. We pull up and they're like, you guys got it? They just dashed, man. And they drove off, man. I was like, damn, okay. So I didn't know how big this thing was, and so it was luckily they were downhill. And so as they're coming up, we got up there on top of the buildings looking down there, and I was like, dang, that's a lot of people. I mean, it's like 1,000. You know what I mean? I don't need to be dealing with that. So we just took engineer tape and put it all the way around the Hummer and the church. And I had my interpreter. I stood on top of that. Me and Matt Gerard and another guy were standing on top of this thing and said, and Matt's we call him the silverback. I mean,
The silverback?
Yeah, because he ain't playing around. He's a big brawny dude, and he's one of those. He's not in the mood for all that. Always in a bad mood to start with, so don't piss him off worse.
You need guys like that. Though.
Yeah, you do. No nonsense. So we get on top of the deal. There's a few of us all scattered around, and get a 240, and just holding it.
Squad automatic machine guns.
Yeah.
I was thinking Edward 40 hands.
7.62.
That's where my head went.
And just said, had my interpreter say, hey, and everybody's, several guys with guns and this, that.
There you go. How you doing?
I'll take one.
My left hand.
There you go,
Good,
sir.
thanks, sir. And then,
Aaron, you good?
so we said, well, if you step over that white stripe there, that engineer tape, which is nothing more than like 2-inch tape, it doesn't stick to anything, you just wrap it around stuff, guard stuff with it. Said you step over that, you get shot in the face. And
not good.
And they come running up and they're like, that's funny. And then we hopped on top of the Humvees, and everybody's standing on top of stuff, and everybody's got guns. And they're like, oh, okay, that seems more serious now with a big chain link of freaking guns, ammo coming out of this thing, and linked ammo. And there's this one dude standing right in the very front, man. He's just like, doop, 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 just putting his foot over it, like, or what?
Dude, 240 is a
And you don't
sweet gun.
You don't
Dude,
get
can we
killed
pull
there.
this up? A 240?
Yeah.
I'm trying to picture
They
this. This is
replaced
a new
it with
one.
what now?
Well, that replaced the M60 machine gun.
And then they just upgraded the
240 machine gun.
Yeah.
Should do it.
M240. Yeah,
Oh, those things.
Yeah, it's nasty.
they're fun.
How much does that weigh? Gun like
It's not that bad compared to some of the-
28 pounds, 22
No, it's
pounds.
not.
It's not terrible for a
little
machine
less than I
gun.
thought.
What it is
49.7-inch length.
Yeah.
You got to carry an extra barrel on you with
Muzzle
that thing.
velocity,
Yeah.
2,800 feet per second. That'll do it.
That barrel, once you get cranking, that sucker
That's
will
less
glow.
than I thought
Yeah.
it would be.
You
But
make
you can
that
lie.
thing sing, and that barrel glows, and you got to change it quick.
That's like
But the
actually,
cool thing is that it's easy to change because unlike all the other
Yeah.
barrels, just when you just go push a button, turn the handle, it pops off, snap the next one on, and keep on rocking.
Don't
That's
touch
like a
that
pro-
barrel.
That's like the price of a really nice MacBook too. It's not like crazy.
Yeah, it's not crazy.
I'd rather have that.
Me too. Yeah.
Judging by your computer, I see.
and it's a 308. So anyway, we're just standing there with that thing, and this guy goes. We're like, dude, honestly, I mean, we've made a statement here, and we need to make sure we have control of this. We're here only because you're such a large force. We're a small force.
Right.
We're not gonna play with you at all. You might get us, but it's gonna be ugly before it's over with. So please just go somewhere else. Blah blah blah. This that. C steps or whack. Gets a 3-round burst in the chest.
Ooh.
And the whole crowd disperses, starts walking down the freaking road.
We'll be right on our way.
Just do. They just took off walking. It's like, okay, cool.
I'm surprised it was only 3 rounds.
Yeah, somebody did a
that?
good burst.
Was it? Yeah.
That'll do it.
Proper 240 versus, 7 to 9?
Probably, yeah.
How long
So
was
somebody had some discipline there.
How long was this last campaign in Kosovo? How long were you there hunting these guys?
4 months each.
4 months. Okay. How many guys did you catch?
Probably 10. I mean, over the whole deal. I mean, and how badass were they and all that? I don't know. They were the scariest people they had. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody, if there were some badasses there, they'd already decided, screw it. I think I'll just go to Chechnya and do it over there for a while or something.
It's a good place to do it.
Yeah, it was a good place to do bad
Chechnya's a
things.
good spot for
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
A
So
lot of good things happen.
they didn't do crap.
Longest
And,
war, right?
Yeah. Crazy time.
Good place to get something really bad done to you if you get
Yeah.
caught. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah. Have you spent time in Chechnya yourself?
No,
Doesn't sound like you have plans to get a ticket there.
I would not want to go strolling around Chechnya by myself.
yeah.
Yeah, let the Russians handle that.
They have that.
Yeah.
And I've watched videos of the Russians that went and did it, and it didn't work out. That was kind of, you want to have a nightmare over something. That's a quick way to help.
I can imagine being a Russian soldier and being told that, hey, you're going to Chechnya. It's your next spot. Like,
And you're the
Come on, man.
You're the single guard on this gate out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Nah.
No
that ain't
thanks.
it.
I'm cool.
But during this whole time, one of the really sad parts about the global war on terrorism and that whole era is how Afghanistan culminated in 2021, where you feel like you basically go back to square one. And the worst part about it to me is that, we can talk about again, like we're going to spend a lot of time on Iraq. I promise it's coming, people. But, you know, we can talk about that and whether or not we should have been there. I certainly have some thoughts there. A lot of people do. But Afghanistan was where the Taliban was harboring Al-Qaeda and the guys who did these attacks. And so I've always thought, I'm like, well, yeah, of course you had to fucking go there. Like, that's what it is. And what's really sad to me is that, unless I'm very wrong here, correct me if I'm wrong, we were very successful at the beginning of that campaign there. We ran this historical paramilitary campaign on the ground. I know maybe some stuff you know about you can't talk about, but like from a general standpoint, just analyzing as a military guy, where you had intel and military supporting each other in highly specialized teams of the best, most talented soldiers going in there, and basically piece by piece taking apart the Taliban within that country and taking control of it. And then throughout 2002, yes, there are American casualties, which is always horrible because it is a war, but like we have control of the country. We're trying to transfer it over to some sort of democratic leadership, if you will, before eventually, you know, we kind of take our eye off the ball and go to Iraq and put all our resources there. But in 2002, like, if you don't mind, take me back to the vibe there. Like, did you view this as like, oh, warfare is completely changed now because of what we just did, and we're going to be able to do it like this anywhere? Or...
Well, it's kind of hard to say because at that point, that was a new thing. If you're talking about 02-ish time, 01 and 2.
Yeah.
01 beginning of 02. That's a brand new beast, boy. And the only people that ever done anything there is third group, fifth group, really. I mean, as far as anything extensive, I mean, because they trained over there and they trained troops over there and they, you know, did all that kind of stuff. And they knew the terrain better than most people did too. But the way the war was fought was a whole different matter. A lot of people knew very well how the Afghans like to do their battle and how they like to fight and how they like to attack and all this. And consider, I mean, they whipped the Russians' ass a lot.
Yeah.
And with almost nothing. You know what I mean? Like pitchforks and shovels almost, you know? And so now you're like, well, this is a capable bunch. Now that you're giving a bunch of firearms and things that really do stuff, you're talking about people that are a tough bunch now. And they're crafty and they know the train inside out and they live it. And so the tactics had to be taken very, very seriously. I wasn't one of the people that indoctrinated all the tactics on that particular thing because I got there too late, you know, to be somebody that really mattered on all that stuff. Iraq was my part for the initial invasion and all that stuff. So Afghanistan was theirs. But we definitely had to change our view on things. And another thing you couldn't do is go, this is a third world country. Are they really a threat? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they are. You know what I mean? Whereas some other countries, you know, you might be like, well, you know, they're still living in the Stone Age. You know, they're not really that big a deal. We got night vision goggles. We got all this. I mean.
What made Afghanistan different and like the Taliban different?
They came up with more technology right off the bat. They knew how to build bombs. They knew how to build directional or EFPs.
The guerrilla warfare was just
brutal and
way
ruthless.
more advanced than
you were in Afghanistan too, right?
Briefly, yeah.
More Iraq. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they were getting help from a lot of people that mattered too, because like Iraq and Afghanistan, the Iranians were jumping deep into all that. What's funny is, I believe that we taught a whole bunch of Iranians how to build all these EFPs and stuff way back.
Oh, before the revolution.
Yeah. And they turned around and came back and taught Afghans and Iraqis how to build EFPs. Because IEDs, you know, a big bomb is one thing. Depending on how it's detonated, if it's initiated by a mechanical, like a guy pushes a button, I can beat that pretty often. Not every time, but, you know, changing my speeds, hauling butt, not hauling butt, you know, this and that. And it's hard for me to calculate an exact distance and point, you know, because he's way out there somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to hit dead on. And if I'm not on it, you know, it might kick it up on two wheels or something like that, but not wipe you out. In the beginning, especially, they weren't as accurate. And then they got to where they're better at it and started daisy chaining them, where you get like a bunch of them in a row, setting those off. And then they started putting different initiators on, like a tripwire style of thing, pressure plates, that kind of stuff.
They started directing the bombs too.
Then that's the other thing,
which is crazy. So they become anti-tank or anti-troop carrier instead of that blast just going outward. Now it's all the forces going through the vehicle to kill everybody inside of it. Cell phones.
Cell phones, or remote control cars.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because those things work real good.
Yeah.
And then, they flip a tank on its butt, pow, straight upside down. And that charge inside, just the overpressure inside the tank kills everybody in it. But then, I wasn't ever terrified of it until I heard about an EFP being fired. Explosively fired penetrator. That thing now, terrifying. And after I saw that it could burn a hole through a fully armored tank like hot butter, I was like, okay. And then they started hooking them up to lasers and stuff, so it's initiated instantaneously. So what they do is they start figuring out what is the distance from the tire to the window and all this stuff. And now
EFP.
And so it's going, pow, and it'll just fire it right through the window. Pow, fire that one right through the window. Don't even touch armor. And then that started being a little more scary then.
When we got on the ground in Afghanistan, are you saying that there were like Iranian government affiliated people on the ground there with them at that time?
They're there somewhere, yeah. And they're also funneling the money. And by the way, it was explosively formed penetrator, my bad. I don't want to be saying the wrong thing. I said fired.
Yeah, we're looking at
I've made that mistake before.
Ryan, what are we looking at right here? This powerful roadside bomb chart. What's this showing?
Hit the expand button.
This one right here?
It's a daisy
Expand
chain.
it. I don't know. So,
Oh, wow. What's that explosion right there? That's an EFP bomb in the terminal list they were showing going off.
So they're showing you the penetrator right there. So they put a concave plate in there inside a piece of steel or something, and they put a charge underneath it. So it's concave into it. And then so when it fires, it heats up that, which is usually the best is like a big chunk of copper. And it turns it convex, so it's flying like this. So it actually holds
like a
the
rocket.
charge,
Yeah.
turns this into molten copper, and it is moving ridiculously fast. And when it hits something, it just spatters that stuff everywhere. But it'll still penetrate a vehicle and still have something come out the other side of it. I saw one hit the back of a Bradley fighting vehicle one time. The Brits were driving in Basra. It went through 10 feet of dirt because it's a raised road. It went through the whole freaking road, ripped a big old chunk out of the back of the Bradley. Luckily, didn't quite get a big enough piece of it. And it left smoke rings as far as I could see with no arc, no nothing. Perfectly straight, still getting. Because, like things normally go up and you just kind of...
Oh, right. So it was going that fast.
Like a laser beam straight and never curved, never did anything.
dude, so think about the evolution of how they did this. They wanted anybody fighting against them not just to die, but to die terribly. They started with taking things like styrofoam and putting it next in between, the accelerator and taping it onto the explosive part. So when that explosive goes off, the personnel, let's say the gunner on the top of a Humvee, is not just getting shrapnel. They're getting hot styrofoam that's on fire sticking to them and burning alive. I mean, it's brutal. That's just straight evil.
I agree.
I don't care what anybody says.
Imagine 1.2 miles a second. That is getting. I'll tell you something scary though. One time we were doing a hit and it went into daytime, which, we don't like working in daytime on hits. Downtown Basra, we hit that thing middle of the night. I don't like being in daylight. When bullets flying around,
I like my bullets in the dark.
I like my stuff in the dark, yo.
I will hit you when you are not looking.
And plus when it's dark, I have a Spectre gunship sitting over here, which really helps things a lot. And if it's cheating, I don't give a crap. So we're rolling in here. We hit this objective, blah, blah. We grab a couple dudes, this, that, throw them in the Humvees. And we're pulling out, and there's like 5 vehicles or something like that. And as you come out of the alleyway, there's a great big huge median, like the size of a football field in the road, one way this way, one way that way, with light poles. As we pull out there's a riot. Looks like it's about to start a riot. So it's becoming daylight. Now it's curfew's over, so now I can run around and act stupid if I want to without, all this stuff. Well, as we're coming out, they're standing out in the middle of the road. We stopped, and somebody, I think one of the other guys, he calls in a inspector and says, put 3 40 millimeters in the middle of that median right there, right beside those people with tracers. And
With tracers.
Yeah. So it's still dark enough where they can't see the plane or hear it. They just know something's coming from the sky. So it goes whack, 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 whack. And then that did it. They dispersed immediately because they're like, what? God is mad. So let's get the hell out of here. So we keep on. So now we pull up to the end of it. One of my boys sitting back here on the turret with one of the Iraqi gunners on their vehicle. And as we're pulling up, we're right towards the end of the building, about to hang a right. And I hear, there's one vehicle in front of me. And I heard, ta-ta. I heard double tap back there. Someone was like, whoa. I stopped for a second. I was like, what's you got? And Eric's like, pull up about 20 more feet, man. You'll see. I said, okay. We pull up.
Okay.
And as we make this turn, my boy's going over the curb right here. New guy. Hits a haylock block and high centers the Humvee for a sec, which he liked to shit himself, which ain't no biggie. But he shit himself like, ramp, wouldn't go. But as that happens, we pull around the corner. There's a dead guy laying right here. Double tapped in the chest. And I was like, oh, there he is. And I looked up, and there's a freaking 155 sitting here and a brick in the side of this building of an EFP. Somebody made it look like a brick. And it's EFP sitting here and a 155 sitting right here on a box. And the two wires, one's wired and one's not. And this guy was wiring them, and my boy saw it from back there and popped him.
That's a 155 artillery shell.
Yeah.
That's what they blow.
That's where you're like, this is the last thing I'm ever going to see.
Yeah. So they're ready for anything. I mean, we're talking probably like a
God.
6-inch EFP. So we're just like, whichever one you pull in front of, that's one we're going to light. And my boy saw him wiring it and popped him. And it was right. I mean, it's
Thank
right
God.
in my window like that close. It's probably this close away right
Thank
here.
God.
Yeah.
God damn.
So then we smashed into the guy in front of us and keep driving, dude. Quit
You wouldn't be
around.
sitting here today.
Oh, no.
You wouldn't be sitting here today
No.
if you hadn't done that.
Nope. It's on top of his game.
Ryan, what were you doing when you were there? You were there for like a hot minute. How long? Like a month or something?
Where?
In Afghanistan?
2 months.
Okay. What were you doing when you were there?
That was when Congress put all the Marines in because they pulled all these units out and personnel out to go to Iraq. And then they just kind of forgot about Afghanistan. So we played this game twice.
Right.
It flip-flopped.
So you were there when it turned. To
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, now it's going to be a shit show again.
Yeah, but they overloaded it. And then they realized the Marine Corps doesn't have enough personnel to sustain both countries, our areas of operation in both countries. And so they pulled us back out, wasted so many damn resources.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Congress.
That's how it goes.
I digress. But honestly, I have the utmost respect for anybody that served in Afghanistan. I don't care how dangerous it is or it's not a pissing contest. I'd rather be in Iraq than climb mountains all day. I can do urban combat, have no issues with that. But damn, you get in a firefight in those mountains or in those villages. I mean, especially you get caught down in one of those valleys. You can imagine being on one of those fobs. You know who Sebastian Younger is?
Of course. Yeah,
Dude.
Tribe. Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah. Amazing author.
Dude, his videos, Korengal Valley and Restrepo and all that. I mean, those dudes were just sitting ducks.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that, man.
If you can see I say this as a non-military guy. It's just common sense, even to someone like me in an armchair. Well, chair almost with arms. But if you can see what's in front of you, all right, you can work with that. But if you're out there fighting in the hills with Pocahontas, and it's like they know what this is. They live off the land, and you're just dropped into this country. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do?
Yeah. Well, for the record, I'd take your ass to combat any day. So
Listen, I'm good.
I'm dead serious
I
when
like
I
it
say
here
it.
in Hoboken. I
Hey.
appreciate the freedom of America very
when
much.
the zombies come, you're on my team.
Okay, all right.
And everybody's
Hey,
better.
if the zombies come, I'm in.
And everybody's coming to Texas anyway if the zombies come. So that's where,
Yeah,
that's
spot in
where,
that's
Florida.
where all the guns
our,
are.
our Florida.
I got a spot in Florida.
But by then, Texas to Florida is going to be one country anyway. So I mean,
It might be.
the whole bottom end of that.
I
so.
take my passport to Florida. It's a different country. I'm like, am
Mississippi
I
and all
allowed
that,
in?
they're good.
I'm like, we good? We cool?
You
Mississippi
do anything
part,
you
yeah.
want in my state, okay?
Oh my God.
Anything you want.
Interesting state.
Well,
And you're
speaking of-
actually from there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You live there now.
I'm
but
a
you're from there.
native.
He's got a spread down there too, so you got room to do stuff.
He's a wild card, this one.
Yeah.
You never know.
And got one car that I know, dude, like 200 miles an hour. So from about
do?
here to that wall,
Oh, my grandfather was a
thing's
world
fast.
champion pro
Nice.
street drag racer. Danny
Nice.
gets off on hot rods.
That thing is
He's
mean,
a drag
boy.
racer.
You're a driver yourself? No? You just like it?
Oh no,
like
I drive.
Like a muscle
I thought you
bus?
said I haven't driven his. Yeah, I've got 4 of them,
Oh shit! What
but
do you got?
not fast like his. A 71 Dodge Dart.
It's not mine, just to be clear.
No.
It is. That was my
why aren't you
grandfather's.
fun
My
at vet
uncles
Paul, you
own
fuck?
it. Yeah, no.
Sell the car.
No, Jesus. Jesus.
But you said you had a 71.
71 Dodge Dart, 340 stroke to a 416, which is about 700 horse. 70 and a half
That'll do.
Camaro, tub, roll cage, all that junk, big block Chevrolet, stroked, 496 with 400 two-stage nitrous. That's the one he likes. Tub, back tires are like this big, and all that. That's about 1,400 horse.
Oh yeah, it's more.
You just take this. You just take this off road in Texas and rip it.
They're all street legal, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So they say. Where I live,
That's less than reassuring.
There's no emissions. So yeah, and then 93 Mustang notchback coupe with thought it'd be 1,200 horsepower supercharged.
That's
Ford
a sweet
stroker.
little drag car right there.
It was till a tree fell on it. We had a tornado come through, and I walked out next morning. There's a 4-foot wide tree laying dead center of the whole damn car.
Well, shit.
Mint condition. So now I've got another 93 4-cylinder car that I've taken completely apart. Took that one apart, and I'm rebuilding the engine and switching all the cool stuff onto the other car. And it ain't happening today. But
listen.
it will happen.
They do some of this shit like right here in New York. Can we pull up Tommy G's latest video? Alessi, my boy Tommy G.
Don't give him any ideas here, okay?
my boy Tommy G is like, he was just on the show. He's one of the best documentarians in the world. When he was in town, I was able to meet some of these guys in a journalistic capacity with him. I want to highlight it that way.
Oh, I didn't know
At
that.
an undisclosed location. But, these drivers exist. Right, I got to get you premium, Alessi. Sorry. But just log into my account. But these drivers in New York exist, and they're called Swim. And, well, the first guy's not. But they drive, like right now, Tommy's shitting himself. This guy, Squeeze Benz, is going like fucking 100 miles an hour. But he drives like 240 in New York. He drives Lambos and
York.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Wow.
skip ahead to 17 minutes in, Alessi. Right. Yeah. So these guys swim.
Okay.
They're called swim because they swim between cars in New York. So and their videos are online from a first-person perspective. They'll rip it like 160 in teams and go
Oh, my
like
God.
in between. And I guess they do like a lot of rentals and stuff, but I think they're also like souping up some of these cars and shit. So they even have like this is a video game. No, that's real. But like they have video games as well online where people can do it legally with them, just like in a video game. But so that's the video game, but they do it also like for real. It's fucking
That's
crazy.
sketch.
Yeah, I mean, listen. To each their own. I guess it can be impressive driving, but when you start putting other people's lives in danger, it's just like, what the hell?
It's definitely.
I'd still have to go to the Verrazano Bridge.
You're gonna swim if you hit
It's-
somebody that
Oh yeah.
it's in my inner circle. I'll
He
tell you that.
he asked them about that. Tommy did a great job with this video, and like their responses on it were really interesting. And like when I talk with some of them, they're really interesting as well because they're cognizant of that, but they still do it.
See right there, he's talking about it.
Yeah. And he yeah, exactly. And you can see it on the.
Yeah, that's not a lack of respect. That's disrespect. So.
That's actually probably a really fair way to put it. But it's interesting because like they almost come across like normal.
I
dudes.
definitely want to watch this for
Yeah.
sure. I'm not knocking the documentary.
I want somebody to clear off the Verrazano Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge and let me do a quarter-mile pass with no cars on it.
Well, just go swim, man.
You know
Just
what?
'cause I
We might
can.
be able to hook that up for
Yeah,
you.
I'd like to do that.
I might be able to do that for you.
Yeah, I
Call
want
Chris
to.
Christie. He'll.
Wow.
Too soon.
My bad.
You're in New Jersey right now. We do not claim him though. The New
He's not yours anymore.
The New
It's all
Jersey
good.
delegation does not claim him. I want to be clear about that. But right before we get to Iraq, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what your thoughts were when you did see Afghanistan fall 20 years later. I mean, obviously this was something that in many ways we could see coming in the last decade leading up to that because we took resources out of there. But like as someone who was a strong veteran of the global war on terror in this whole era, to see that symbol kind of tail end like that, what was going through your mind?
Well, we knew it was going to happen. It had to because what Biden did as soon as he stepped in office, took away every single law that was really good that Trump had passed. Everything that was wonderful. First thing, get rid of rid. Okay, let's come up with mine. All suck. Let's create 20 new set types of taxes so I can get more money to give away, play like, and get more money back for myself and my friends. But because Trump was going to shut it down, and he said it's not the time. And it wasn't the time because we had too much stuff over there. And I'm not trying to make this a long story, but we had too much stuff over there and troops over there and American people over there. It's one of those things like any other war, you taper down, and the last mofos to leave the country are the military members. That's it. That's your last line of defense. Like World War II. Okay, granted, what are we going to do with all these tanks and jeeps and all this other kind of crap? What did they do? Pull out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean or Atlantic, either one, and they just threw them off the ships. But did a bad guy get them? Nope. They're coral reef right now. They threw them off the damn ships and nobody got them. So Trump said, well, we're not shutting it down. It's not time. It needs to be something we work up to. And we pull it out a little at a time just the way we've always done it. And everybody that's, got sense does it. Said he left. So all my contacts that I know, all my friends know, I've known. Imagine somebody that I knew, Iraq and Afghanistan, but luckily the Iraq ones have done well. But imagine somebody from 02 or 3, and this happens then. Their kids are old teenagers, been driving and old enough driving age and all that stuff. And I've known them their entire lives. Been to all their birthday parties if I was in there, because they're close with me. They're my contacts and things like that. They work with America, and they weren't necessarily incriminating anybody. They're just helping, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, this shit pulls off. I immediately get on the freaking computer, start sending out messages to everybody I know that's there. I've never seen one back from anybody from that day. Every single contact, every single person I knew that was Afghan in that country are missing. They're gone. Their entire family. Teenagers, I had their emails too. They're all gone. Every single one. And then we drove off, left a fucking shitload of Americans sitting out there flapping, which is disgraceful. I volunteered to go do whatever. I said, anybody comes up with a thing, I'll go right now to get them out. We'll take care of this bullshit. So then we left $83 billion worth of equipment sitting there. And now Afghanistan is the biggest black market for weapons there is on the planet.
I'm sure.
Well, guess why? So then here's how Black Hawk works. Here's China. Here's one. Here's how all this works. Here's all of our electronic equipment. They didn't even blow it in place. They wanted to blow it in place. They wouldn't even let them. They said, no, get your ass on a plane. Let's go.
It's one of the worst executed pullouts imaginable.
To me, that's something that's punishable by, I can't say what, but it's the most punishable thing I can think of other than something to do with a child.
And I can't stand it. I hear Bill Maher say well, it had to be done this and that. Well, no, there is no, but it had to be done in a certain way.
Someday.
It's like, dude, you're just getting too political with it at that point. Like the second and third order effects of how that was done, we haven't even gotten close to seeing that.
If you're saying I'm all for ending endless wars and getting out of stuff, right?
100%. War's terrible.
But it's like,
sorry, Danny.
It's like
I had the bumper sticker back in the day. Give war a chance. Marines need jobs. So,
but like exactly like you said, the way you do it is so important.
Yeah, it's not just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, it's like, motherfucker, you had 20 years to plan this.
Yeah,
there were 4 administrations.
But he has to do it on this date because it makes it look like he did it and Trump couldn't. He thinks it looks that way, or whoever.
I don't think he knows what he thinks how it looks.
Obama. That's what I meant to say.
Either way, it's like
so I'm allowed my political views.
Of course,
100% you are.
Of course.
I'm saying in case he decided to come after me and rob me or something. I don't know, but I didn't make a threat to nobody.
I think you'll be all right.
I'll be good. But yeah, I think that sucks that they pulled that move, and it is excruciatingly brutal because you feel like you spent a big part of your life doing all these things. And I know with him, I guarantee I know a bunch of stuff, and I guarantee I'm not alone. You did all these things and put your ass out there heavily, especially in the beginning or during the ISIS rotations back in them days. All these Americans, I wasn't there for all that, for all of it. But there's people they're getting burned down hard.
Oh yeah,
and putting their ass out there heavily and trying their best to do the great job that they're trying to do. And then here comes this freaking guy, and all of a sudden it's like, we're done. And then besides the local populace just getting a monster shit taken on them, can you imagine what it'd be like to be a female living in Afghanistan right now?
Oh, no.
My God.
I mean, they were showing hope for a while, for a minute. And then it's like, oh, back to the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
Now you got
Do
Taliban rolling through the streets with
Do you guys feel
With
like...
our stuff.
on rollerblades.
Do you guys ever feel like some of it's in vain because of that? And that's a very dangerous way to put that. I don't mean to be like causing offense or anything, but you know, a lot of Americans died in Afghanistan, and it's right back to a similar place to where it was.
My quick answer is it went too long. It didn't have to take that long. When we invaded Iraq, and I'll let him say his piece because I want to hear his part too. We invaded Iraq. My commander, I'm not going to say his name because I'm not sure if he wants his name said, one of the best commanders I've ever had in my life. So everybody knows who he is that knows me. He said, if you want to win the war in Iraq, I mean, we're talking right after, maybe been there a month. He goes, you want to end this, take all the news media out, take everybody who doesn't do this. If you're a supply guy, typist, anything, whatever, take them all out. Give me all the special operations guys I asked for, put me in there, and I'll have it ended in 3 months. 3. Guarantee or I'll resign.
All right.
In front of Congress.
Let's put a pin on that real quick. We got to grab some dinner.
Yeah.
We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about all this. And that's going to be the next episode. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on the video, and we will see you guys in a couple days with the next one. Thank you guys for watching the episode. Before you leave, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. It's a huge help. And also, if you're over on Instagram, be sure to follow the show at Julian Dory Podcast, or also on my personal page at Julian D. Dory. Both links are in the description below. Finally, if you'd like to catch up on our latest episodes, use the Julian Dory Podcast playlist link in the description below. Thank you.